Welcome to Conscious Heart Solutions. I'd like to introduce my guests, Christopher Jacobs, Sean Bond, and Miss Lily Hayes for a super fabulous conversation, roundtable discussion on supersonic abilities versus spiritual gifts. I've reached out to both Chris and Sean and have been friendly with them for quite some time now and have received help. These guys are two powerhouses of a plethora of information, psionic and spiritual gifts. They both are highly learned, and I'm just super pleased. Not to count you out, Lily, because I love you, Miss Lily. You know that, but I'm so excited to have these two guys on as guests, and I'm gonna kind of fall back and just listen and maybe chime in if I hear anything that maybe I feel the guest or the audience would like to maybe have you elaborate on. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming on. This means a whole lot to me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Lily, I'll turn it over to you if you want to go ahead and start with Chris and Sean. And
yeah, definitely. It is an absolute blessing and honor to be here and holding space and co-creating such a powerhouse conversation. The topics that we'll be covering tonight are really, really close to my heart and soul, and so many, especially at this pivotal point in our evolution. So do we want to jump to you quickly, Chris, if you could just give us a little bit of a intro? I know a lot of the followers and watchers are going to be aware of who you are, and same with you, Sean. But if you want to give a little intro into who you are, what you do and what you're up to, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. For anybody that's not heard any of the lifting or me and Joanna's material or any of the shows that I've been on, I'm Chris Jacobs, live in Prescott Valley, Arizona, and I do sessions for people pretty much every day. People hire me to remove attachments and demons and negative entities, and help clear land. Recently had a land clearing gig not that long ago. And also we make fairly strong orgone pieces, me and Joanna do. We do psychic fairs. That's some of the things we've been up to lately, is we've been doing talks and psychic fairs and land clearings. And recently also I've been, going through my own garbage to clear that out, to leave room to be able to do my own work, outer work, actually. And it's a fairly difficult process. That's why sometimes you don't see me on too many shows all that much, is because I'm doing a ton of the inner work garbage, but from the background. But I'm also in the process of writing a book. And then Joanna and I are going to write a couple more on galactic history. Mine's going to be on secret space program stuff. Our joint efforts are going to be on galactic history and different spiritual aspects and things of that nature. We figured we were going to try to do the yin and the yang of the entire experience, and show like the darker crap and then the lighter stuff, so that people had an idea of what the entire picture is. And what I'm doing recently or lately is we're preparing for another psychic fair in October. Oh, not a psychic fair. We're doing an actual horror convention in October, selling orgone pieces there. We got invited to Phoenix FearCon in October. So we ran into the two owners of that, and they liked some of the stuff we did. So they said we were invited to go there. And we're going to do a 2-day event. So I've been kind of hauling to get orgone pieces done in the garage for that, but like Star Wars and sci-fi related type of stuff. But yeah, on a daily basis, yeah, we're always constantly having to better the energies around here, check on things that might be going on around the property. People call us for help on a regular basis to get things cleared out. Either help with internal junk or external junk. Usually both go hand in hand. So that's generally what we do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing the fact of it doesn't matter how far along you are in the path. We've still got a lot of tidy up on the regular that we've got to get through. That's for sure. I think that's really important for some of the people who are just stepping onto the path to realize, is that they're not alone with the crazy whirlwind that is swirling on around them. And you know, the reality is it doesn't go away. It's a path that we walk, and it takes continuous love and devotion towards clearing those energies. So thank you so much again, Chris.
Yeah.
And the amazing Mr. Bond, can we please have you jump in and give us a little bit of details about your fabulous self and the awesome cosmic wizardry that you've been up to lately? That would be much appreciated, please.
Sure. My name is Sean Bond of the Scionic League, and we go into orient towards accumulating superhuman abilities and reverse engineering them, getting the blueprints, accumulating a group of individuals that are like-minded and psionically oriented, and then to help the planet and whatever things she's dealing with, and to help it to the best possible timeline. We're putting up a bunch of videos on how to learn different abilities and where to go, and linking groups together, and bridging community and unity, expanding through love, and teaching how to transmute suffering and bring that into the fertilizer to make the blossoming internal garden within of abilities, and turn it into what we are meant to become, to help with what we're dealing with and spurring that evolution, growing more and more all around the planet. How about yourself?
Well, yes, who is this little / big soul from down under? My name is Lily Hayes. I am an intuitive multidimensional healer. I am quite new on the path. I mean, I've been on the path since birth. I mean, let's be real, we all have. We were brought into this pivotal time, as I said earlier, for some really, really important reasons. But it took me a little bit longer to really jump on the path and start diving deep into what there is that I can really, truly contribute. So I am very much enjoying soaking in all of the really powerful wisdom from the likes of both yourself, Chris, and Sean, which has really been helpful in so many ways of triggering so many memories of who I really am and what I really have within me. So having conversations like this is really perfect, because I kind of feel like if we're talking about ages, I kind of feel as though I'm a bit of a toddler, maybe going into kindy. So I'm not quite at the very beginning, but I'm nowhere near to the depth that you two have reached yet. And the key word is yet, because I'm not giving up. I'm diving. And Ida, I know you're right there with me, honey.
Right.
So it's so amazing to share space with Ida and the likes of both of yourselves. And for us to know some of the things that will be really helpful for those that are at the very beginning of their journey, and then to be able to really open up some doors for them to dive into areas that they didn't know existed, and to dive into areas that they actually have access to should they dedicate the time, work, and devotion, love towards. So it's pretty exciting. It is really, really exciting, because I know how many people, and I'm getting emotional because we know that that's the flow that comes when something's right on the money. There are so many people that are ready for this right now. There are so many people that are saying, I am ready to wake up. And it's time. It is so time, because we're not over here being victims. Many people are definitely under the pump, ourselves included. Like that is not something that is just one person, two people. It is literally everyone is under constant pressure, and have a lot of external influences that jump in and stuff. But I think the moment that we can stop perceiving ourselves as victims and actually step into our power and acknowledge that everyone's going through it. And a lot of this stuff is actually really key for our initiations. And initiation is not just one level, it's not just two level, it is multi-leveled, and like it can go as high as we'll allow it to go. Whereas if you keep yourself in a small box and say, I'm a victim, I'm being attacked all the time, oh no, I've got to withdraw from this, I can't coexist within this. Don't live small. We were not destined to live small. No. We are destined to expand beyond what any limitation could possibly keep us captive in. So starting out with that, because I think that's probably what a lot of people feel, is that they're under constant attack. What do you two powerhouses have to, what would you like to share with those that are feeling as though they need to hide in a box because they're constantly under attack? What do you feel is one of the most helpful things to help, like to allow them to realize in order for them to step into their true infinite potential?
Well, in that respect, I run into that quite a bit when people contact me, and I always tell them, don't hold yourself inside of a box. Don't give any negativity more power than it deserves. Pretty much, don't give it any more power than it already has. And by keeping yourself confined in a box, like say if somebody has a haunting on their land or something like that. I've run into a numerous amount of cases where the person just wants to not disturb anything. They want to leave it be because they feel they've gotten used to it all being around. They've gotten used to it. They become accustomed to it. And they become accustomed to being depressed or being unhappy or being confined. And they're afraid if I, come in and burst the bubble, it's going to cause chaos. I'm like, no, it'll actually set free what you want to do. And it starts from within, setting yourself free. Then these beings have no hold on you to begin with. So they'll just tend to drift off and do something else. But from what I've noticed, and keeping yourself confined like that. And I was at that stage a long time ago myself. Long before I did this, I did a lot of stuff in private before then. When I was in my late 20s, I did things like that. And a little bit in the mid 30s, I did things like that before I got hurt in my accident years ago. But what happened was then I was more encouraged to come out into public and do my thing. And some guides encouraged me to do that. Other people encouraged me to do that, saying certain things were needed. And I began to expand at that point. And if I had not gone out into public, I wouldn't have met the people that I was supposed to meet to actually expand even further. So I always tell people, yeah, don't hide, don't hide in a closet, don't hide in the shadows. Just continue to expand and grow. I've come across some really horrid things, and I've come across some really good things. And I would have come across none of it unless I had actually looked within and said, no, this is not acceptable in this current timeline or at this current present moment. If I hadn't done that, we wouldn't be talking now. So before this, even talking on air, I was like very reclusive, very I wasn't speaking like this. I wasn't speaking clearly like this before. It was more like a shy thing where I wouldn't look people in the face or anything like that. So that was like an entire lifetime ago, pretty much. But now I've gotten to the point where I can conduct this work with more confidence and all that, thanks to looking within. And that's where it tends to start, is looking within, and also recognizing in your outer environment that something might be wrong, something might be in need of fixing, or you're in a toxic environment or toxic relationship that you need to leave in order to expand as well. So I've run into a multitude of these different things. Even in the past 6 months, I've run into a plethora of things.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. And it's so true. The beginning of it is really overwhelming, especially when some of the more low astral plane stuff starts coming through. It takes your mind on a bit of it takes a bit of a doozy, that's for sure. And realizing that even those that don't go through, like they're not aware and able to see within the unseen, they're all going through it too. But exactly as you said, it's so able to be cleared and transmuted, and you are able to step out of that box. You are able to reach these new heights. So thank you so much for that, Chris. And Sean, how about you?
A lot of methods. I love learning all the different methods people take, and it's it's definitely a buffet of like all cultural expansion in the garden of possibilities of what people can come up with. Mine personally, I tried a lot, so I like a lot can work. It depends on also how big in depth you want to go. Well, my personal one now is I'll see if I can make it easy, but this kind of I fused a whole bunch together, and I worked on each little part and then mastered it until it took like seconds to do, and then I fused it with more, and then I can do all that within a few seconds. But it's tapping into my own divinity, going deep within to my heart, the connection everyone has within their I am, their connection to source, letting go of everything that's finite as you embrace the infinite. Everything external is a reflection of yourself, and also the entire universal mind and multiplayer game, and plus like individuals and all that. Real, not going into solipsism or the psychopathic belief in Satanism of like, oh yeah, just they're puppets, everyone. No, everyone's you. They have their own free will, and treat them as you, and with love and compassion. And it's like turning on different aspects of your brain or your cells as everyone awakens in themselves and everyone on the planet. So it's like into their health. So then as you let go of everything, because like you can go and embrace unity consciousness as you go into the infinite connection, but you have to detach from the vampiric attachy world that like as soon as you're incarnating into, that like projects limits onto your unlimited nature of your infinite self, and capacity to create miracles like with the innocent inner child. So it's like letting go of all these billions of tiny hands that are attached to like these reality rules and belief and weights on the heart, that like as you like take off these jackets of limitation, it gets more and more, and it's like onion layers releasing with the heartbeat as you go within an extreme center pointed laser point focus that like amplifies with bliss and love and intense amounts of brightness that shine as a beacon and a haven for anyone around in the area as you make it brighter and brighter, and with the underlying factor being infinite unconditional love without strings attached and loving detachment, so that you don't have things interfering or draining or is trying to steal what you have. But as the predators come closer, the moths to the flame or the parasites or things that want what you want because they lost their ability to create their own light or what they have, so they seek after. As you've made your boundaries and your ability to stop the incursion from happening, but like hold them at bay with compassion, and as they come in, you make a strategy of, it's like a come to Jesus moment, but like in a mission of light that just reminds them of their own light within themselves, and then they start like tearing up with intense like bliss and love, and like, oh, I barely feel this. And especially if you've done this to something that hasn't felt this before or whatever, then you treat them as if yourself and bring them that reminding mission that they are you, so they don't need to harm you, and that you're helping them in the benefit. It's like raising the children that come forward that are in lack to you, and then all your enemies stop being enemies and they become friends, and then with boundaries, because betrayal, all that. But as the light grows greater and greater, less of that is likely, especially if you've applied for it. Then they will start to fight for you, and and then, or whatever, and then bring to peace, because like that's more of my mission. And then it spreads, and it's like every if you were to see, everyone was blind and they went off their empathic sense, and like the incursions coming in would be and the heart expansion, how big it is, like, and how much bliss and love and excitement, joy it is, versus like when like it's being whittled down and there's a heart wall or like extension attachments. And like as you let go of those attachments and then you shine that light forward, every little angle of the incursion represents something. And as you tune into it, it has like visions, and like sometimes it will go along with fear, or what about this big aspect of suffering in the world, or whatever. And then the way you change your angle of the way you perceive or interpret the suffering can transmute the suffering into the fertilizer that is the garden for that expansion. So I like to take it where instead of like, oh, it's overwhelming, it's like unbeatable, all that, instead of that, like, oh yay, a point of growth. It's the weights that will make my love stronger. And I look for these, and I'm like excited. I train it like Bruce Lee. Like I'm excited when these come in because they're gonna train me to be stronger in love. And all I gotta do is take it in that excitement and then flip it back on itself, and like the entire encompassment of the suffering back to its source starts to unfold into me of knowingness and understanding of like why it is that way. And then I start to transmute it with truth in that, and it starts to transform and transmute into its better version. And I feel as a heaviness coming off and the lightness, and then that extension expands in my multidimensional ability to ease the suffering of wherever that suffering is coming from.
Beautiful. Thank
Wow.
you.
That
That
was-
is so awesome. I'm looking forward to revisiting that on the replay later, that's for sure. And Sean, you had shared some stuff from White Wolf on your channel, which I finally came across. It was a couple of years that you had shared it, but it was talking about psychic protection. And he really had some amazing points that I was really super psyched to see some stuff that I actually have been doing just off my own back. I was like, high five self, I'm onto it. But he touched on the topic of your defense will only work as long as you're able to obviously have a bit of a ritual in place and be able to put these things in place. I'm not going to dive into the method. You can look up White Wolf and some of his talks. They're from about, I think, 10 years ago or so. Or otherwise we might have some, epic, awesome Mr. Bond that brings him back to the present. We shall see. But he did touch on the fact that one of the quickest and easiest ways for a psychic defense to come unraveled is actually an aspect of ourself kind of pulls it down from the inside out. So I just wondered, I know that you guys would see this, and I know that this would be stuff that you work with your clients on the regular. So Chris, how about we start with you first? What are some tips or perhaps methods that people can try and put in place in identifying whether or not that's happening? Personally, I feel that that's something that I can be doing to myself sometimes. I'm a lot more aware of it than what I have ever been before, but I know that that aspect of me still exists. So in these situations, what would you sort of take your clients through in doing to dismantle this and to kind of make sure, if it's possible, for it to either not come back, or a method that we can put in place as part of our ritual to get it to sit down and hopefully go? But yeah.
What I've done is when I notice that I'm reacting in a particular way, or if I'm in a scenario that may be even a mirror of a scenario from like a different lifetime, another expression or something like that, I'll react abnormally to it. Like it'll be like somebody will do something, maybe even somebody doing something stupid, but it might be something minorly dumb where I shouldn't be. I'll be like, man, normally, but then I'll just go off on the person for like no reason or something like that. Or that means something's building up, Or I'll react, with extreme emotion over something I just saw, like on television or something like that. Then I'll know it's a mirror of something that I usually have to correct. Now, if I don't correct these things, even though it can be arduous, it's extremely arduous sometimes, because I found out I have like a trillion years of Akashic and Earth Akashic history, all from different dimensions and everything. And sometimes these things will come one by one, if that's what it needs to get your attention towards something. Well, if you don't correct it, I know it draws in other external junk, and it can weaken your armor. I noticed this firsthand. There was a particular past life where I had, which was a fairly bad one, that I wasn't correcting it. I'm going, why do I have to look at this? It's we're living in the now sort of thing. Well, I got tired of like a bunch of the stuff, so I figured, I'm not going to look at this. Well, it turned out it ended up drawing like an actual demon hag entity in after a while. I'm thinking, oh, this weakened my armor to where something was able to track me. So I had to, so I got rid of that, and and then I was able to get rid of the demon after that. But this, the point is, if you have anything in tow emotionally, any sort of skeleton in the closet, anything that is not you, anything that is or not you now, something toxic that you need to discard, be it even surroundings. It could even be objects, it could be people around you that are starting to feel like they're dragging you down, which they can't. That's not necessarily completely possible. But if they feel that, you feel energy coming from other people that is toxic, realize that that's toxic. Situations that are toxic, also recognize synchronicities as well and signs as you're going along to make sure that you're not going off rail, or like what Joanna like to say is stay in your lane. Stay in the lane of what you're here to do, and not drift drunk driverly into somebody else's lane, and or avoid somebody else trying to drift into yours as a distraction. Know when to react and not to react. It's usually most of the time it's don't react to it. When somebody is doing something stupid out in public, I tend to get accosted by people out in public because of the vibration we're on. There's usually some controlled somebody that likes to try something, and Joanna usually has to turn to me and look at me and go, "Don't even think about it." So I have to stop myself there and not react to that. I have to know the lane that we're in, and when I'm accidentally off to the side of the road or veering into someone else's lane. What I'm trying to get at, I know I'm going all over the place. What I'm trying to get at is the way you keep yourself protected and keep your armor up that you've arduously built up is first start with knowing who you actually are. If you don't know who you actually are, you don't know what protection to put up, or your protection won't work. Have no skeletons in the closet, have nothing veering you off your path. And if certain things just aren't working, that's more than likely not your path. You're more than likely in some kind of stagnation cycle. So, and that way you're opening yourself up to other entities. They also, to put up a form of protection, you just visualize this. I visualize armor coming out from within and surrounding me. I put it on a subconscious level, so if I'm in some danger zone energetically, my armor automatically pops on. It's a subconscious, reflex action. And I know when that pops on, I'll go, oh, higher self is saying there's danger nearby or something like that. I do that. And I recognize certain synchronicities. I even if it's some bad guys trying to mess with me with a message or something like that, I'll recognize what it is they're trying to say with actions and sounds and things that are going on in the immediate area. Then I know not to cross into a certain area or not to do a certain thing. Just like Joanna and I were in Las Vegas not that long ago, which I'd never actually been there. And first I was thinking it was going to be a mistake because of all the mixes of energies, but I figured, okay, I'll go there, put my protection up. And all it was, part of the trip was me, seeing the mirrors of stuff I had to correct with people that I would encounter the entire time I was there in some of that lower vibrational environment. And when I got home, then I started working on a lot of that stuff. But I know the idea was to go there for like a vacation to get away from stuff, but you're never ever getting away from yourself. So it's like, I was wanting to, you know, take a breather for 4 days, but it ended up being accelerated version of, you know, correcting things when we went there. But the whole point of what I'm saying is it starts again from within, knowing yourself, and then you know that your protection is always going to work. Also putting external protection up like we do. We make the different potent orgone pieces and different, we have rituals that are behind it. We have blessings that are behind it. Keep everything blessed, have no clutter around you, externally, internally. Get rid of objects and energies that no longer serve you, and you should be all right.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. That was really great and definitely covered on a lot of super, super helpful points there that a lot of people can take home with them. Sean, how about you? So that tricky internal, I'm going to smash your defense to pieces and take you on a goose chase aspect.
Okay. Yeah. So with defenses, many that are out there that people can look up and try different things. Geometry and etheric space can hold information memory as you pump it out. I recommend starting with the foundation of your heartbeat and your breath, and like pulsing that out with each one. It's stronger, greater, faster, more expansive in layers that keep going outward. That will overwhelm anything that tries to outcreate. As you detach from everything, you're also, so it's a lot of root stuff. So foundational existence in this reality. So it'll be like things like grounding, survival, resilience, camouflage, all emitting, safety bubble, shield that neuters anything that wants to come in, or nerfs, defense, offense, protection, processing fear or suffering or pain or anything that like would be a part of that, and then transmuting that, because that's the fuel for the root. Loving detachment faster than anything can attach into your hologram, because it's all pretty much light, and all the parasitic forms of existence that are doing this that didn't earn their abilities, and they're like less powerful than you, and they're imposing doubt and fear and things to shut down the mind, so that you will go into believing that you're weaker than them. And just because we went through amnesia doesn't mean we're don't have all the things that we came in with. We do, and as we're like opening our heart, it comes out with more and more things, and every challenge that we come up against, you get an equal, every challenge, you get an equal power opening up to you that's deep within inside you, and all you gotta do is reach in and grab into it, and then see what you pull out, and then with your imagination and creativity start putting it out around you, and see what works. And you can always be okay with when something's incurring on you, that if you don't have your full love in full intensity, which is hard in the beginning, so I understand that. And so you have the right to defend yourself, so don't feel afraid. It's not against, it's within natural law to defend yourself from incurring factors, things that want to program you, incur on your body, try to possess or harm. You have the right to kick their ass. So feel free to do that. That's not going to be karma on you or anything, because like I know a lot of the spiritual movement, like, oh, let's do full peace and stuff. Eventually, if you can, but you're going to be coming up against big predators later as you take back your big power. So there's a go, and then you can combine love and defense, offense, and don't be afraid of destruction if you have to, and because it's necessary. It's like the beings that protect the children on the planet. They have to have that capacity to take down predators that are too much to be changed with love. They're too overwhelmed with evil and darkness. That doesn't mean they're not impossible in the future, but like when parasites are attached to somebody, they want to lessen the person's capacity for love while they're attached, so to a level that's unable to transmute them. So then the only tool you have left is your offense. So be okay with that if you have to.
Can I chime in for a minute?
Yeah,
That was huge what you just shared,
yeah,
Sean.
yeah, I agree completely with that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Huge.
Thank
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm always having to, when I find different entities, I deal with a plethora of different demonic entities, different aliens that, I've tried to be the negotiator first and peaceful first, but I always give them the chance to basically walk away. And if they don't, and they push their luck, they lose their head. So it's like yeah. And, I always tell people laugh when I do this, but I have like swords and stuff like this around for doing stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that too.
Yeah, I use selenite for just
Selenite, yeah.
yeah. I use these in all of my sessions, and people tend to get a kick out of that. I have like maybe 5 or 6 of them here in the room, but it's little ones, big ones that I get at fairs and such. But yeah, but selenite I notice is one of the most powerful ones to actually cut an entity off like that, because you can actually bilocate with its etheric presence and use it as almost like a lightsaber. So it's I do that, I tend to bilocate to people's homes and clear them out from here, from this room, if I can't actually physically get there. And I use tools like that. Or if I don't have that, I just turn some of my energy into a weapon and go after them. But there are a lot of them I run into that are extremely overwhelming, and they stop the person's capacity to even care about their environment, care about people, open their heart space of any kind. I've been attacked with some of the worst of the worst, from big Draco reptilians to jinn to goblin-looking creatures to different twisted elemental-looking creatures, things of that nature. And there's also infected land too, where it'll start to turn some of the beings that are there, and you end up having to reverse the flow back and get the Earth Mother to audit the area and fix it. Sometimes, some of the beings can't be saved at that point, but the Earth can always be restored back to its original human resonance. It may take some work, layers after layers. I found I had to clear a section of land not too long ago that was a satanic property where they had done rituals and everything like that on. And Joanna and I were there probably a good 4 hours, I would have to say. And I was putting all sorts of tools around. I was making a crystal grid, orgone pieces to amber to shungite. Shungites are our main tool that we actually use for orgone pieces. And we did everything that I knew how to do. We even did the iron nails in the ground to break up the negative energy. And salt. Yeah, we used salt. Those were one of our salt pucks too. And we buried things like that. I made mixes of salt to put at the gate and everything like that. We ended up correcting it, but it took quite some time, declaring it audited, declaring it neutral, loving energies, and also putting all the stuff down in a particular way, going basically clockwise around the property to create a shield around there. There was a lot of elementals there that were grateful that that was done. And it was a very old satanic property that had been that way since like I want to say the 30s and 30s or 40s. And it was pretty ugly, but it was correctable. But there was at least 9 or 10 to 12 different layers that it had to bust down through. But yeah, there are times where you have to use the sword versus use the heart. And essentially, you're still using the heart because you're caring about the environment around you and the people that live in the house, run the land, or whatnot. You're still actually caring, but it's not necessarily for the entity, but it's for the person who needs the help getting rid of it. And that's still essentially heart space. Somebody gave me that question one time. But was that, are you closing your heart by going into battle mode? Not necessarily, because now if you stay that way, yeah, I suppose you could. But no, it's actually comes out of a place of compassion doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been a concern for me from a long time ago, after everything that I experienced. I definitely don't want to get into my stuff, so I just want to respond to that because I've struggled with opening my heart back up fully from going through being attacked and targeted and all the things. And it's been years. Like, I've done a lot of inner work and just sitting still more than anything, and just choosing a higher choice for myself in certain situations where I don't go backwards into old behaviors and how to cope and that kind of stuff. But that's been a huge thing for me, is being able to open my heart back up after battle. right? Or, I mean, I definitely know that I hold a great deal of compassion and empathy without a doubt, but it's also feeling like, you know, struggling with using my voice and speaking up for myself, being able to do that. I still, if people know me, I'm the youngest of 12 kids. If people know me, know that I will stand up for you, for Sean, for Liz. I don't know how to do it for myself. It's like I feel wrong for you know, wanting my needs met or taking care of myself, or wanting connection, like we were talking.
Oh yeah. You never want to feel that it's wrong to want for yourself. Like our friend Viking and I was talking about more on Galactic Interstellar Council. What we say that the word selfish needs to be redefined, because it's basically you're taking care of yourself first, then you're more qualified to take care of other people around you. And so we tried to redefine what people think of what selfish truly is. It's taking care of self healing, self transmuting, all of that. We've been trying to redefine what that means. And even healing as an aspect is more of more of an after effect of the transmuting. You're transmuting your junk, you're working on yourself, and then you're healed from it. So that's the after effect of that. That's how we've been defining that. And it's worked a great deal, you know, and some people think, oh, they have to sacrifice themselves constantly to help others. That may seem noble, but you're going to run yourself dry, and then who's around to help the people you want to help, you know? So so you gotta find that balance somewhere. I used to be all the other way, and I started getting health conditions because of it, because I wasn't taking care of what was around me. And then when I empowered my own position, then I was able to heal the damage that had been done. Also, psychologically, yeah, it's very tough to keep the heart up, and especially after 2020, that one ran me ragged, because it was I could you know, if you heard some of the conversations we've had in private, some people would think I was a monster, because it was like, because I'd be like, it's like, yeah, it was pretty bad, because we would watch something on TV and go, God, look how stupid that person is, or something like that. You know, what are they falling for that for, or something like that. And I started to get too far into it. Then Joanna sometimes is around to poke me and go, hey, stop it, you know, sometimes, you know, but then I bring myself back to center. I even had a session done on myself. We had a double Reiki session done on us, and I didn't realize I still had some junk that I had to extrude, that it was starting to turn my heart space in the other direction. It was starting to nudge the heart chakra the opposite way, and I didn't realize that I wasn't paying enough attention. So I wasn't paying enough attention to me. I was just doing my thing. But when that was put right again, I felt grounded. I felt myself again after that. But I wasn't paying enough attention to myself. And so when we did that, it ended up correcting a lot. My body decided to revolt against me for a few days after that, but as almost retaliation for keeping my energy unbalanced. But once it was rebalanced, everything was fine again. It's just that we had to take the time for ourselves. And that's what Joanna and I do when we go traveling or doing something like that, even if it ends up having things happen that we really didn't necessarily want, you know, or think we needed, but it was actually something that was beneficial for us to happen. Yeah, are we a little bit ragged from what's been going on? Yes, you know, with her workplace, with stuff that happens around here, you know, sometimes entities and aliens tend to push their luck, but there's a group of Ebens that live not far from here that tend to push their luck every now and again, but they tend to come up and start bullying and doing stuff like that. But I found if I give them very little reaction, they tend not to hang around. But that's the point I was trying to make is you gotta work on yourself and not always see it as selfish. And the standard definition of selfishness, anyway, it has to be redefined as, you know, you are giving yourself the proper time to heal and transmute what needs to be healed and transmuted.
Absolutely. Otherwise, you're just going to carry it around with you and project it onto everybody you come in contact with, every situation you go through. And for me, this is why, like, I'm just about to launch my own YouTube channel called Self Mastery Super Show. And it's literally about this. It's to help educate the wider public how important self-mastery is, and how much it is necessary for us to create this foundation in order for us to live our best life, but also to be able to help others around us live their best life and to co-create together within harmony rather than reactivity. Because if you're constantly having all of this baggage carried around with you, I mean, I've still got bags. There's clearings to still go for sure, but I think it's really important for the listeners to hear that even though we've got some really major super psychics who are here with us, yourself, Chris and Sean, hey, the baggage needs to be cleared out for everybody. It's not a someone down here. We're all on the same path. There's just some of us are a couple extra steps ahead, and it's really beautiful for us to be on this path together. So the second that people can really be able to let go of those societal stigmas of selfishness and, you know, all these different terms that have been used, and realize, okay, actually, if I better myself, if I can give myself love and care and devotion, that helps me be a much more happier person, yes, but it also allows me to give my best and share my best to myself and with others, which is really, really important for all of us to be able to step into. Now, I do know that there was a question. So before we go to off topic, we've got, are they aware of the levels of entities, attachments, elementals, non-demonic, non-human, demons, and archdemons? I think we are all very, very, very aware of all of the multi-layered different people, well, beings that can come and grace our presence. I think beforehand, you guys really nailed it, that when you need to bring out the big guns and you need to chop a couple of heads off, you know, it reminds me of the Queen of Hearts, off with their head. It has to happen. But the thing is that for those, I don't want to trigger anyone by saying love and lighters, but those that are feeling as though they can't bring out that level of mastery, really, and badassery, you've got to understand that when we are chopping off a head or, you know, disintegrating, whatever method we're using, we are actually allowing the essence of that being to return back to the light, because at the core of even the darkest of the darkest of the dark, the light is still within there. Even if it's only a little dwindling flicker, they will return back to the light. So their soul essence is able to go, actually to be freed, to return back to soul recycling and go through the process of actually be, you know, wherever they're destined to go to next on their path of soul evolution. But just because they were dark once does not mean that they're going to stay that forever. And if you can chop off a head whilst also lovingly send them on to living their best soul essence, ability, you know, that's kind of the difference. So guys, if you want to just come back to that question that I said about the different beings, I can repeat it again because I kind of went on a little tangent, but that's just something that was coming up for me. So it was, are they aware of the levels of entities, attachments, elementals, non-demonic, non-human, demons, and archdemons or archdemons?
Oh yeah, most definitely. You know, I've run into a multitude of levels of different demons, archdemons, elementals, all the way from little goblin type of entities all the way up to Draco reptilians, to archdemons, to these little devil-looking beings, to negative nymphs, negative female elementals. I've run into them, positive ones, ones that also negative ones that take different types of energy from people, from like sexual energy to negative energy that people are putting off. I've run into all sorts of ones that inhabit people's bodies, like possessions, oppressions. I've run into that where they've completely taken over a person. And Joanna and I always say sometimes these new personalities shove somebody's real one into their big toe. We always joke and say they've shoved it into the big toe. And that's this new being that's emerged, and or this one that's taking them over. And from the different types I've run into all sorts of different aliens. That would have to be shown in of itself, like from the standard grays to reptilians to ones that look like us, to different ones. And you don't always know which one's the bad guy, because not one whole group is evil or one whole group is good. That's a misnomer. There's a mix in there of good and bad actions. Now, there are some that I see that are mostly bad, like Draco reptilians, for instance. I've never run across a good one. Or like there have been there was another group of reptilians that I ran into here in Arizona that I think had the potential to be good, but they were just annoying. They would walk up to people and whisper stuff in their ear, and the person would do it. There were these shorter ones with hoods over their heads that would kind of hobble around behind people, and they weren't expecting somebody to actually talk back to them when they approached me, and they were very surprised. And I said, "Would you just leave people alone?" And I said that back to them, and they kept trying to say how we were toxic and all this other stuff, and it was a long, drawn out argument. Needless to say, they left us alone after a while. But it was you have also shorter reptilians that I've noticed in a lot of people's houses that tend to hide in crawl spaces and stuff like that. You have these like mimicking like cloud-like entities that like to stuff their way into people's crawl spaces in their houses. And you also have a variant of different like ghostly energies, and a whole variant of different shapes and sizes of different elementals, both positive and negative. It would take probably 2-3 hours just to go through the entire list of them, or at least a third of the list of them. But and there's also different variations on the same theme. Sometimes I will see a positive entity and a negative entity, and they look exactly the same. So
Yeah.
it's like with like fairy type beings. I've run into positive ones, and I've run into negative ones. So if I see something approaching me, I have to use extreme discernment as to what the intent of the being actually is, and the energy of the being, or if they've allowed that really extreme negativity to make them all ghoulified looking or something like that. And also you have another class of this, thought forms of other people that have also created different demonic like poltergeist type of junk as well, where people are actually haunting the space. And I've run into that quite often last year and this year specifically, where run into a variant of different psychic attacks and different poltergeists. Some people have actually put together through incantations and spells and such to actually send at us. I've run into that along with jinn. I've run into that with curses, the whole variant. I've run into the entire spectrum of that. And it's been very enlightening in that area. I add another creature to the list somewhere, another monster to the list. I also, I'm seeing the question pop up about shadow people. That could fall under aliens that are in a different dimensional layer that are just looking like a shadow, elementals. Most of the deep, dark shadow people I've run into have been alien abductors that have come into the people's houses and stuff like that. And like grays, like Ebens, things of that nature, reptilians. I've run into that, but I've also seen other beings kind of like almost like a light shadow, like Sasquatch, for instance. I used to see them pass just almost like a shadow, like in a wooded area or something like that. Then I came to find out that was one of them. That's another set of beings I contact all the time. But with bona fide shadow people, the really opaque, dark, that's an alien abductor. For most of the time, 99% of the time I've seen it's an alien wanting to abduct the person.
Yeah, I could not agree more with you on that one. They were definitely the major haunting force that came through in my childhood. And, of course, I was going on lots of off-world adventures. So, of course, they were going to be there to take me on their many adventures. Some of them were not adventures at all. Some of them were quite torturous. But, at the end of the day, they're there. And all of these other beings are also beings that we coexist with. And as you said, using the discernment between really working out the good from the bad, and you know, when we go into that, the good with the bad, it's just the positive and the negative, the intent that they're setting on what they wish to engage with you and co-create with you. Yeah, so it's interesting, the labyrinth of beings, like, because as you said, you know, for myself, I've come in contact with a lot of reptilians, and Dracos they don't like me very much because I don't take their shit, much the same as everyone else around here. And some of the attempted backlash that's come through from them with projections going through other people have been really, really interesting. Before I get stuck into that, I'd love to hear, Sean, what are some of the different beings and entities, demonic stuff that you've experienced across your journey? I know you could like create some encyclopedias, both of you too.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just interrupt 1 second? And absolutely, I want to hear that from Sean. But I also, we're going into the second hour, and I just want to be sure that we do touch on the difference between psionic abilities as opposed to spiritual gifts. Definitely, I would like to at some point. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. We'll get stuck into that next. I was thinking the same as well, Ida. In sync.
Yeah. Oh, I liked his list. I agree with that. I've also come across all that too. So I guess to add on to what I haven't heard list, there was like a bunch of things like false angels, fallen angels, antiverse beings from bleedovers from the fall of Atlantis, and anti-gods and things that like stole and devoured some of the authorities and here, and then stole their gifts and then used that to prop themselves up and mess with the divine order. And it's like in different I'm back and forth right now.
That's a whole different category there. Yeah.
And then yeah, the jinn, the different realm creators, the planets, the archons, the arch demons, the demon lords, the things from the invasions of the earth and different times of the falls, and that should be quarantined in different quarantine hellish realms. And the separation from humanity and the angels, which like caused the fall of the angels because of their most of the fallen angels were they added their genetics to humans, and then the demons added their genetics and then incurred on it and then made them fall, and it was interesting. So we're like a combination of the two, and then bringing a balance and like marriage counseling between the light and the dark, and so that separation, their unfoldment and evolution in both light and dark to their fullest, and then eventual boundary with boundaries, unity again. Through that, and then the earth being strong enough to take on a bigger threat that she perceives possibly in the future with everything that's here, and transmuting the dark with the aspect of the challenge of the light, which is as like if you go into a healer and seeing the wounded or the lack in suffering being the dark that have accumulated most of the pain and the wounds, as it's the front line to the battles and the incurring factors from others. Yeah. And then like this, I've seen sulfur beings. I've seen well, we're going into like dark things that incur. Yeah, soul shards like used and harvested by like different forms of invading AI that then be formed into AS, and then as a fuel battery with an AI around it that then hacks into realms and dream realms and stuff like CERN technology. Dream invader, nightmares, different ones in the physical. There's like demons can become like any species can become a demon. It's like a being without light that has to steal from others, so they're like composite beings that take a bunch of soul shards from people and then make it as a cluster for like years in the unseen, either dead or if they have an extension of themselves as a demon, kind of like acting in self-defeating aspects of their shadow. shadow beings going into like a type of multidimensional technology body that is in a form of lack of light. Doesn't have to be bad, but has most of the ones here have been abused, so they're kind of not the friendliest. And so we have their DNA added to us through the Anunnaki interaction. And then the shadow body is a little bit different from Carl Jung's shadow, but like they kind of like everything at like that self-defeating will be like at one piece until you start like breaking it apart and then separating them and then listening into files of what's still causing a problem in an individual. And then once it's the shadow body is healed, it becomes like this nice acting thing in harmony with everything else and a part of your being. And then it would be like self-defeating self, the ID or id or of like Freud's or Carl Jung's like the ego, the ID, which is like the devil on the shoulder, the super ego, or the godly ego that like a lot of people with God complex, and then like the self-defeating aspects that keep us from merging with our super consciousness in our heart that has everything that we've ever done in past lives and been in creator gods, as we're trying to bring that into this reality and conscious state in non-egoic of, oh, it's just us. No, everyone can become their greater self and overcome the issues. So all these things are like teachers, even if they're evil. Evil is necessary in a way for the challenge of good to prove itself. It's to prove its purity. And that's like the reason for it. But it's also, you know, yeah, like if you imagine the good reaching the heart of evil or like dark or whatever, because there's like varying degrees like of, it's like to up instead of just pure evil where it's like it's hard to really change it. There's like the less in that lava lamp of going up and down. There's the ones that have been through evil quite a bit and they're kind of tired of it, and their ability to heal out of that is much easier. Or if you find just the right equation to bring them out of that state of mind control or lack of awareness or ignorance that like that detaches them from the rest of the universe in seeing themselves as everything because they're in survival and they feel like they have to do those horrible things to keep going, and abandonment and all the other aspects of them that you can bring healing that then like changes those races back. And then like if you had DNA connection or if you have interactions with them, you have the ability to change them. You are their antidotes, but only if you realize that within yourself, and everyone can.
Awesome.
Oh my.
I know, right? I was
You
like,
are just, I don't even know what to say. It's like, I can listen for hours. Just,
And you guys are great.
yeah.
yeah,
Y'all are
well,
awesome.
you know, for those that are just feeling as like mind blown and in awe as what Ida and I are right now, Chris and Sean both have some epic YouTube channels of their own, so you can dive deep into their work and chuck it on for hours in the times where we're not all here co-creating together. But you know, just quickly, I remember one of the first.
Can I just say one thing? They're equally talented and gifted for sure.
Absolutely.
Reach out to these guys. If anybody
Yes.
is interested in getting help, entity clearings, learning about your makeup, who and what you are, what you're connected to, what you need to work on, all those things. These guys are the real deal. I
Yes.
highly, highly encourage you to reach out to them. I always recommend these two. Anybody
Oh,
that comes to me,
Absolutely.
go to Chris or Sean Bond, Christopher Jacob Shaw. I always, that's the truth. I just truly appreciate them. I can't, there's no words to really convey how much help I've received from these guys. And I've only had one real session with Sean and a couple with Chris, but just listening to the information that they share freely on YouTube, the information they've shared with me to help me understand my own experiences, I've I've been able to work with that to help myself. And I thank you guys. And that's it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. I could not agree more. You know, there are a lot of people that are out there, but it's really, and there's a shift happening at the moment. I don't want to offend anybody by saying this, but it's really rare to find people who are so selfless in the sense of they're just so, you're both just so there for the person. You're not there for your, you know, financial or ego gain. You are there to share your love, to share your access, to share your wisdom in the most pure and authentic way. And it is just, it is so great because it's setting the tone for what is needed and what is possible for everybody to access within their services. So it's
and to
really,
handle business, because they both handle their business for sure. I mean,
fuck yes, they do. Like that deserved it. That
so
deserved it.
Well,
Yeah.
all the love and that and all that, but yes, there
Yeah.
is a time to raise our sword, you know, when it's
Yes.
needed. I don't make it my business to do that, but if I have to protect myself, I have a right to do that.
You gotta crack
I
the whip
do.
when you gotta crack the whip, girlfriend. You gotta do it. You just
Yeah,
gotta do it. Yeah.
but I prefer the more softer, loving, kind, gentle side of myself.
Yeah,
sure.
of course.
Yeah.
And that's definitely where I like to sit in as well, that's for sure. But yeah, when business comes down to business and you got to do what you got to do, then it's okay to do that, and you can do that in a loving way but still do the badass shit that you got to do at the same time. So it's really great. Yeah, I was just going to say before, like I remember the first time that I accessed how many remote viewers were watching me through a meditation. This is going back 4 years ago at the peak of my, like, it's time to wake the fuck up moment. And it was so amazing that there were literally thousands and thousands and thousands of sets of eyes. And it was like literally kind of seeing like this much of a face. And it was just thousands and thousands of different beings. And I was just like, whoa, what is going on? Like, what are they all looking at? Like, I was just so perplexed of like,
The show.
yeah, the Lily show. And I was like, what's so good about the Lily show? I'm not special. Well, newsflash, everyone, we're all really special and we all have a lot of eyes on each of us. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I run
as
into that all the time myself. You know,
Yeah.
this falls under the topic as well. The psionic abilities and the spiritual abilities and all that remote viewing. Yeah, that would definitely fall under the psionic category. Mixed with, of course, there's spiritual involved, but it's mostly cerebral when they are doing that, and they also are aided by technology a lot of times too. I run into a variant of different remote viewers that I'm constantly seeing their face here, face here, face here. And it's usually the eyes. It's usually like this. And or somebody will bilocate into our property and try to spy on me, and they don't realize I have booby traps set up for them. So it's like.
I love Chris. I love him.
They tend to get their foot stuck in a bear trap somewhere, you know, and then they can't move, and then you watch them for like 20 minutes trying to get out of it. But it's like,
oh my goodness, that is so funny. I'm sorry.
So it's like, Joanna usually will go, "Oh, would you just end this already?" Oh, instead of watching the person trying to get out of the trap. But it's like. But yeah, you can, with like a psionic ability, especially if it's technologically related, you can trap a bilocated person and actually have a conversation with them. I was able to negotiate with some of the remote viewers, but then some of them, their head had to come off. So it was like, it's the same difference with them. Spiritual, on the other hand, that's spiritual ability, that comes more from the heart space. That is more from the soul. Psionic, it's more from brain, and also if it's technological assistance. You know, now some people always see me as just primarily cerebral for what I do, and I always tell people I use a mix of psionic and a mix of spiritual. You know, I meld the two worlds together. You know, just like I won't go into this long, drawn out tale, but there are aspects in the secret space program when I was there that they actually were training people to access their psionic abilities, and also using psionic technology. You know, they tend to harass people with that too, like with scalar and psionic technologies, and instead of trying to heal with it, they're harassing people and hurting people with that. And there are also some of these remote viewers are actually children that they're plugged into a chair somewhere. And I've
Wow.
run into that. Some of them are in a tank too. Some of them are actually floating in a tank doing this in like a sensory deprivation type of thing, where they're just building the brain capabilities. And that's the area where I was put into in the SSP, where it was building that type of ability up. And these people never counted on me getting it back after a near-death experience. It ended up rebooting and reloading what they had trained me with, and they have hated my guts ever since. So it was they've been targeting with remote viewers and such ever since that point. But because they keep trying to get me to shut that down, because I found a way to merge both the spiritual growth and the technological and scientific world, and they hate my guts for that. So it's I found a way to also detect their remote viewers, which there's been hundreds of them over the past year alone. There's from children to disembodied people that have been stuck into AI that have been being used as a probe of sorts. And this other part goes into more of like science fiction. People don't realize they've even taken brains of people and used them as processors with AI. I've seen this myself, where they'll use them like the brains like processing units, and that's a more gross side of it. But for the most part, it's people sitting in a chair with like a band around their head, like this copper-looking band around their head, and they're essentially there to jam you. They're sent to jam your energy and jam your energetic environment to try to dampen the spiritual side, because they know the spiritual side is actually stronger than the technological. And somebody's asking me if I ever had to slay a human soul. Yes, I have, because there were, especially if ghosts won't leave you alone. If you try to go through their whole history and try to find out what's wrong, and they still don't leave you alone, you do have to shatter them. And I basically shatter them into shards and have benevolent source creator reabsorb them. I've had to do that before. Only in extreme cases for human souls, or ones that are trapped within like the different programs or the different, like if somebody is strapped in one of those chairs. What I do is I try to put a series of mirrors around them to get them to look inward, seeing that they are a human doing this. If they're too far gone, then yeah, I've had to shatter them. If they're too far, if they've been plugged into that chair far too long, then yeah, I've had to do that. Some of the people that I've actually gotten through to, I've gotten through to a couple of these remote viewers, compassion wise, but then their bosses come in and kill them. So, I managed to get through to their heart space. And the first thing to do is I just see a couple of Nazi soldiers come in and shoot them. So it's like, they don't want anybody opening that up because they know that person could harm them. So at that point, that somebody, once you come back out of that, you grow an immunity to certain types of attacks, psionic, a type of attacks. And I've been through plenty from scalar to do weapons. Not that long ago, we were out in public. And I felt this towards the end when we were at a restaurant. I felt a directed energy weapon hitting me while I was in public, and I basically said, "We have to go home now." And we re-entered the house, and it hit with intensity for probably 20 minutes. But I came within the orgone bubble that we had created here, and it dispersed it. They hit it with nearly 100% capacity, and a being that I talk to all the time named Isaac, people know who that is by now. He said, that was enough to kill you, right? And he goes, you felt it ahead of time to where I was able to tell the difference between something that was more like spiritual energy and a psionic weapon directed right at me. And it was pretty horrid. It took me the rest of the night to actually vent off that energy, but because basically my cells took it in almost like a sponge, and I had to wash it off, but it dispersed evenly throughout the orgone field traps and stuff that we had set up. And I wear shungite, all that in public all the time. You see this hat I'm wearing, I wear it everywhere. I have a ring of shungite and cat's eye around the top of my crown all the time. And that, I wear, amber, frankincense, and myrrh pendant around my neck. So that takes care of some of the more spiritual demonic type of type of thing. So I do both the scientific realm and I do the spiritual realm. I tend to fight both on an equal footing that way, from AI to demons to you know, getting rid of shattering a ghost to shattering the consciousness of somebody strapped in one of those chairs. They seem to be not inclusive of each other, but they seem to be two halves of kind of the same coin, where you have to deal with them in equal footing.
Can I ask a question, Chris and
yeah.
Sean? So when we hear the word AI, okay, because I've been told that I have AI that runs through my body, that I've been augmented, but I have a soul. I know I have a soul. So so how does that happen? Does it happen before you're born? Whether it's me or anybody, like somebody that has been augmented and has AI that runs through their body. Is this something that happens prior to them incarnating? Does it happen in the mother's womb? Does it happen once they're born? Because I know I was left at the hospital for 3 days. They claimed that there was a infection in my tear duct, but this is also the eye that I can see the wiring in my right eye. So I'm just curious, like, I've heard so many people talk about this. When does it happen? Or could it be all of those things?
It's all of the above. In my opinion, it's all of the above. I've seen all different variations of that.
And they say that Pleiadians, in order for Pleiadians to be on the planet, that a lot of them have had to have augmented vessels augmented in order for it to house the soul. Would you say that's a true statement?
In some instances, yeah, there are some beings that have to live inside of a different vessel. I've seen beings bilocate themselves into a human form, or incarnate, of course, you know, into a human form that's been altered, or I've seen them build themselves a new body. I've seen them augment themselves with technology to walk around here. It could look as something simple like a ring, a hat, a pendant. It could look something like that, but it is protecting them from our density. And I've seen that plenty of times. I've seen them in spacesuits. It runs the gambit of all variations of all the above. I've seen different species will choose one route, another one will choose a different one. So I've seen all of the variations. I've seen people augmented pre-birth to have different programming in them to be a disruption in society. I've seen other groups create the opposite of that, where they're just counterbalancing all the junk that's going on out there, using some of the same methods, but it's more the positive. And I've seen that before too.
Okay. So what's a spider implant?
Those implants, I've seen a couple variations of them too.
Or no, not spider. I'm sorry. Scorpion implant. I understand that scorpion implants are used, like Max Spears spoke with them. I've been told that that's what this is, a scorpion implant.
Oh yeah, it can infiltrate the synapses of the brain, going through the eye and going back around to the back of the brain. But I've also seen another attachment to this where there's a certain implant that some of the military use, where it looks like a piece of the brain, where they will make it so that it sends these veins through the whole brain, and the brain becomes used to it being there. But they have to replace it every now and again, every 10 to 12 years or so. When the person ages, they have to keep replacing it, or else the person their brain chemistry becomes immune to it. But the other aspect is up front, where there's like this spider, almost like scorpion looking like implant that stretches to whatever side of the brain they happen to put the needle in the eye to install it. Usually the dominant eye. That's usually what happens in the secret space program when they're extracting consciousness as well. They use the same type of tech. They usually strap the person down and extract the consciousness that way. And there's other variations of that. That would take another program to explain that. But those implants sometimes will have their own consciousness in them, an AI consciousness, to keep people on a certain path, or to keep people on a certain how can I put it, Joe, like some handler somewhere is operating this to where they're trying to get to the person to not go off the rail they want them on. And if you're completely free and sovereign from that, if you're in a certain vibration, you can burn that completely out.
I feel like I have.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean,
they're harder than hell to burn out.
But
When you burn them out, they're done. You know, so yeah.
Well, I still see it, but I don't know that it necessarily controls. I've been in the implant. Well, I've shared this with y'all before.
You more likely vibrated past it and gotten past its control mechanisms, and it's just sitting dormant. More than likely is what it is. Yeah. Oh, Sean, I didn't mean to take up
Thank
any
you
of
for
your
that.
time.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just the only reason I use myself as an example only because I feel I can, because I've had the experiences and stuff, but I've had people bring this up to me before about scorpion implants and so forth, and how they affect and people's emotions and their thought process, and how they stop them from critical thinking. Well, I've had that experience too before, where I've had to like sit and re-pull myself back into myself, because I would get so scattered. Like it would cause me to have,
It'll
can't
cause like
focus.
this scatterbrain effect and such too.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
horrible. It's not a good feeling. I mean, I'm much better than I used to be, for sure. Yes. And I have broken programming. I know that, but it's still a process of really,
It doesn't end.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
still
journey.
process. Yeah.
Oh, it's a journey. Yeah. Well, this is where people always ask me, when is this end? That's like when you're in spirit form. But when you're in spirit form, that's when that ends. It's like people always ask me that. I even heard an EVP come through on one of my paranormal devices about a friend of mine was asking about number of spirits that were in an area, and they said, oh, there was something that came through. I'll be posting this here soon to our YouTube channel, but it's they said something to the effect like spirits journeys are done, meaning like the what you've done here is done, and you're going on to a different expression or a different place, and I thought that was very interesting. Also, a friend of ours that passed away not that long ago, when he was back in his original form, his original galactic form, he just basically said, when you're on the earth, you're still learning. When you're here, you're still learning. And when he was explaining the difference between when he was here and when he was there, because his wife was shocked at the fact he passed away so quickly, and then he transitioned quickly too, and he was able to not only that, 2 days after he passed away, I was able to do a channeling with him. That's how quickly he transitioned. So it was
Wow.
and he came through and talked about a lot of the aspects of what he was seeing, what he was experiencing, all this other stuff, and that was one of the Interstellar Council episodes that we did. Like 2 days later, he died on a Wednesday, he came through on a Friday. So it was like, so I thought he win. I always joke he wins the championship belt for quickest transition I've ever seen. So it's like
He was sprinting across that rainbow bridge.
Yeah, it was
right?
like
Yes,
it was
Lily.
like
I love it. Yes.
I saw him as a ghost form just after he passed. He came to me, and then he transitioned after that, after we spoke, and then 2 days later he was as his galactic self, and I was like, okay, you're good, but I've never seen that before, but yeah, that's I found that very, very fascinating before we get too far off the mark here. But it was like the fact that he was able to say about the journey about from learning here and then going back to that form, and then saying, okay, now I'm on a different path. Now I'm back to what I originally was prior to entering the earth plane, pretty much. And so I thought that was very, very fascinating. I don't mean to mow you over, Sean. I know you're back over there waiting to say something. So
I was just about to say, we've got half an hour left, and either we can't go over or we can go a little bit over.
I mean, we could go. I have 2 clients at 5 o'clock, which I have a new office, by the way. I'm doing detoxes for people, and so but yeah, we could go a little bit over. I mean, it's the salon's only like 15 minutes away, but I definitely need to be there by say 4:40, because I have to set up. So we could go probably to 4 o'clock if y'all feel up to it. It's up to you. I don't want to I don't know what everybody's schedule is.
Course. That's what I thought.
We could run over, or maybe just till 3:30 if y'all are comfortable with that. Yeah, definitely no later than 4 though, because I need to get myself together to go and so forth. But
yeah, if you want to go a little bit over, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Sean?
Awesome. All right. So let's
wait a minute. We have a
backtrack.
question coming up. Yeah. We have a question for either Sean or Chris. One of you or both of you can answer if you
Okay.
like.
Yeah, just go with Sean this time since he wasn't,
Okay.
I went on for a little bit, yeah.
You mind, Sean?
Sure. So can it be removed with frequency? Can it be removed with attachment? So Shunga is for protection. Okay. 3 questions. Sure. So if you're talking about the implant and stuff, yeah, I definitely am big on removing implants. It's not something I think I'm towards freedom and not invasive technology. If you want to interact with AI in any way in the future, it should not be something that breaches the skin. There's like a lot of different technology that you can just wear and it interacts in a positive way that's intaking biofeedback and stuff. So if it's invasive, it can be interacting with mind control. And so I don't like those timelines of technology. But yeah, any physical implants, you can remove it. If it's energetic, even more easier. You can go back to like figuring out when it is, any moment in time in the dreamscape. It's not like set in stone. Things it hinges on an agreement in the reality bubble. Otherwise, it's against natural law or the free will of the individual and the interference principle of this dream realm. So if ET are trying to implant a person or even the military, you go back to when they found out about you in the timeline and project a whole bunch of camouflage, enough energy to get them off your ass. You go back and prevent it, which takes a lot of energy, but depending on how much they want you for, but you can figure out what tipped them off to even your presence, because they're not just like after everyone, and they're not just, they have a limited amount of technology they can implant people with. So they'll use it for people that they're actually seeing as a value or of a threat. So then you lower yourself to, in perception, a level below their threat line, then it will kind of dissipate. And if it's even more, you can like read how much it's in the timeline, how solidified it is in hologram. And even if it's really solidified, you can do things to get rid of it. You can summon like your soul family and ask them to remove it in a visitation. And you can figure out what the species is and end up on a do not fuck with list, or put up enough like deterrence for if as they cross your boundaries and rules. Put those back in time in a trap. And as you make it a big trap, like, oh, the longer the thing you're incurring in my reality attaches to me, the longer I will take down your entire thing that you claim ownership of, even though it's stealing from others. And then their entire system just collapses. The more, and then you make it obvious that it's cringing on, it's hinging on this attachment to you. So then they can get their attachment out. Energetic, easier too. You can like practice with exploding it or reverse engineering it, or just getting out and then transmuting the energy into something of value, and then seeing where, because there's a limited number of beings that have the authority to create energetic implants. It's like lessening more and more as it's exposed. But yeah, it usually goes to like, where is the ability stolen from? And then tracking that back and healing or bringing the authority back into harmony, so that they aren't getting it thefted from them, and then all the stolen technology dissipates. But
yeah, I like that. I like that explanation. I like the do not fuck with list. I like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Me
Where I've
too.
had to go back and actually do correcting like that, where I've just taken my name out of their databases and such. You know, I've gone back along my own timeline and looked for the origin and set up traps like that too. And it takes them quite a while sometimes. If you put up a real virulent trap, it takes them quite a while to adapt to that, especially the military and such. It may take them months to actually retaliate for that one, but it's like that is if you're even on their remembrance or do not, like the fuck with list of theirs. If you're on that, it's still on that list, they can refine you. But if you erase it on all their timelines and all their computers and all their equipment, it's going to take a while for anything to mess with you. There was an example of that I saw in Doctor Who one time, where he went back in time and erased his name from like all the Dalek records and everything, and they completely forgot who he was. And it was like so that they would leave him alone. So that's what he did.
I love you guys. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the challenge of like the camouflage, any eye that comes forth, I like see it as like, oh, a new way to like see like how to improve my camouflage, and like tracking those back and how they became aware of me is a fun little task. That like, oh, do they get authority? Is this from a past life, or do they gain this huge awareness with perception or whatever?
That's a huge question, because when I was going through, I had a spontaneous Kundalini activation. You guys are somewhat familiar with my story. I mean, I've talked with you guys about this, but my light body lit up and they came after my ass. There was no, like, immediately they were on me. I was using telepathy. I was connected with the earth. I was getting information from her, all of that. And I would see silhouette beings in the trees, like, overwhelming love. I mean, it was just amazing. And it was nonstop targeting, house getting broke into, military jumping out, taking pictures of me, Jen showing up, floating underneath my chandelier. I mean, it was just insanity at its best. And you mentioned energy weapon, Chris. They sent something, a beam, straight to my heart. They tried to explode my heart. I literally woke up screaming, Salem, yelling my brother's name. I don't know why, but I felt like my heart was going to literally explode, like I was just going to combust.
If
it
they
was
use
horrible.
the death energy.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, if they use the death energy. Yeah,
Is
make
that what
like
that
a,
is?
yeah, make the gun with like levels of stun to like kill switch engaged, because like as good beings we got to be like, okay, let's not use the big weapons until like they cross the line. And when you put up the boundaries and they cross the line, if they send death energy or something that can like cause destruction or like illness or all that, and that warrants the same level back at them. And I like to reflect it back at them.
Yep.
And if they, I death and my pain are my friends after having a lot of it sent at me. So I treat it like, because it's like stolen usually by, they didn't earn any of this. They're abusing it already. So just like, I free it. It's like, oh, somebody was abusing you, death ion energy. Oh, I'm sorry. And you aren't, you're not going to be abused anymore. And then I bring it into a space off my body, and then into a place of healing and balancing, and then evolution. And then it like becomes an ally. And then I rear it up to like test the situations and see if I get like see if there's bounties on this being, and like what Earth wants. If I cross the checklist of like, oh, my higher self's okay with it, my Earth's okay with it, source is okay with it, me like reflecting a certain amount of death, if it crossed the line, if it's actually killing people, then yeah, to send it back at it in an intensified force that just like collapses its own suffering that it's emitting onto other people,
Yeah,
to get rid of what it deserves in karma, because it's trying to hot potato it off to other people.
Yeah, we call that karma
reversing
dumping.
that back in yin, so it collapses it as if it's gravity wanting it to happen.
oh my gosh, that was so much.
Yeah, that's called karma dumping. We call that karma dumping, where they dump it off onto other people. Yeah, like that. Yeah, and with also that makes sense about the psionic weaponry and everything, and the do weaponry. Most of that weapon hit my amulet here. This has amber in it, and I also have shungite shielding around as well. The shungite will diffuse it. The amber, what it'll do is just transmute it. Amber is good at getting rid of death energy, focused death energy like that. I've noticed it extremely well. And when I had this over my heart space, what the dew weapon did is it hit the amulet. It basically shook it off like a dog shaking off fleas, and then basically just absorbed all of it and transmuted it. What the shungite does, and I know part of the question was also for shungite. What we do there is it will just block and absorb and transmute any radiation or any other junk that's coming in with that. And I noticed any of the black stones are good at healing and transmuting, and green ones as well. Amber also included with basically transmuting death energy and also helping with grounding and healing. So I combined a lot of these different stones and these different elements together to create physical traps for things like that, and physical shields and physical barriers, using the magic of the stones and everything, along with my own doing exactly like what you were saying, Sean, about basically reflecting it back at them. I do that constantly. I put a big mirror back, and I just basically send back what they hit 100,000 times to 1,000,000 times what I got hit with. Then I put in whatever other codes and information I would have put in there, and it reflects it back. Usually I hear cursing thrown back at me somewhere when something explodes on the other end, but it's like I hear something blow up in the ether somewhere, and then most of the time I hear cursing in German coming back at me, but it's like
the threats, they can't do anything other.
Yeah.
Like,
When they resort to flipping you off and threatening, they can't do shit to you after that. So it's like
You guys are so awesome.
yeah. So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to. So Lily, you had a question for them about the womb, and
Yeah.
do you
Thank
guys
you.
mind answering that for her or helping her with?
Yeah. So I literally was having a chat to Sean about this the other day. I was going through a bit of stuff with my eldest, and this is something that I find a lot of people on the path, that they can sometimes feel as though that their children are being used as a portal to sort of get to them and cause psychic attacks via a child. So I was told that I am a divinity birther, which I knew this, but being a divinity birther, you don't just birth great light, you can also birth great darkness. And I was told that I had my womb chakra, well, my womb space hijacked, for lack of a better word, by Illuminati. So I was actually an Illuminati birther. And some of history's greatest monsters apparently came through me. Weirdly enough, I kind of feel like I may have been Hitler's mum. I hope not. That wouldn't be a great milestone of my soul's evolution, but there's some weird thing that comes up for that. But where I'm getting at is that my eldest son in particular, he really struggles to stay within the light. And he has been targeted since birth as well. He came out the womb like a tornado and has stayed that way. And this other psychic had told me that my son needed to be medicated. He needed to be put into a group home because he was dangerous and it was only a matter of time. I don't agree either. Because I've done a lot of work within this space. I have done so much work with releasing the attachments, clearing, and I mean that's a regular occurrence. He's big with online gaming, and he's 14, so the pornographic portal gets open and those kinds of things as well. But there definitely is a very ancient darkness which comes through him sometimes. Mm-hmm. And he's doing a really great job of accepting my contribution towards helping him rewriting these contracts and these timelines. However, there's this loop that I haven't been able to clear yet. And I know within my heart of hearts that Illuminati or whatever it is, a dark ancient force has definitely pissed off that I am not dealing with their shit anymore, and I refuse to do their work. I could have very much gone down some not great paths. I temporarily did in moments, but I have found this space where I'm at now, and I'm making these positive choices so that my my healing can flow on into the collective, into our beautiful earth as a whole. But my son is definitely experiencing some stuff which I just haven't worked out how to be able to clear. Our family on my dad's side, my great-grandfather is a Grandmaster Freemason. We come from the Royal Windsor bloodline. So there's a lot of Freemasonry, there's a lot of Illuminati, there's a lot of Knights of Templar, that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you guys are happy to tune in a little bit and see what you can find and see if there's anything you could recommend for me, which I feel could potentially help a lot of others as well that feel their children are kind of going through a bit of a target too.
What have you noticed in the barriers to what you want, and what is your goal ultimately?
Ultimately, my goal is for my son to live as healthy as a life as possible, a happiest as life as possible. I understand that there are definitely some karmic replays of some of his behavior is very similar to how I was when I was his age. So there's definitely sort of a bit of pattern, ancestral kind of ties with that, which I'm having to do a lot of work on continually clearing myself and being able to take on board. There are times where I feel like a victim, and I'm not a victim. There's just shit, whatever I'm getting triggered by is obviously aspects of myself that I'm still needing to heal. And he is 14, however, he's still very connected to my aura, which normally he would have detached from that. So ultimately, I'm wanting to find as best of a resolution as possible for him to hopefully not have to go through the dark shit that I had to go through. But I might have another 4 years at least left of him working out his own stuff, and I just have to hold space as a mother through that. But it's terrifying. It's terrifying seeing him right on the cliff's edge of where I walked down, and that was drug addiction, that was self-harming or just self-destructive behavior in general. So my hope is to try and help him steer clear of that, and also protect my 4-year-old son as well in the process, who can sometimes be a bit of an emotional punching bag as well. I don't know if that answered the question. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff too. I believe not only your lineage, but your soul's been tagged. That you have it on both ends. I'm seeing you're definitely a birther soul-wise in history, and also in this lifetime as well. That looks like they were attempting to channel all that junk into your son, but this is something that can be cut off. This is there's a let's see, a bit of signet in his energy that's identifying him as a, let me see what this translates to. Yeah, they seem to think that he's some kind of I don't want to say sacrificial lamb, that's the wrong term. It's more like a we'll just completely we'll continue on with this through him versus you. And but with you, yeah, you were through history. I see you playing the same role throughout your lifetimes, and the bad guys elected this within the false incarnation cycle in you to accomplish what? To at least bring about certain genetics at a particular time in history, either for distraction purposes or infusion of different DNAs within the ancient history or ancient world that led up to now. And it looks like even he and you have some of those same genetic ties that you created in those other lifetimes. And he is mirroring that because they want him to mirror that, but this can be cut off. Now, if he's meant to bring some of this forward to dump it and transmute it, then that's why he's here. But trying to see if that's why he's here. I'm going to just tear that signet out of him and get rid of that. Let me see here.
Oh, please.
I'm just going to shatter this thing. It looks like a backwards letter F with like a little tick mark above it. I have no idea what the hell this translates to, but it looks, I don't even know what language this is. So I'm just going to just get rid of that thing.
Yeah, I can hear hissing, spitting, like profanities in another dialect coming through. It's fucking pissed that we're working through.
Yeah, that may have been like a reptilian dialect. Let me see here. No, this isn't just reptilian. There's also jinn involved in this. Let's see here. But there's also some guy in a cloak that just keeps coming in to bug the crap out of me here. So this looks to be Dark Orion, and also a mix of that and some Syrian language in there too. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, this guy's gonna get put in a cage. Hang on. Okay, looks like there was there's also some dark magicians trying things from other realms too. Okay. It looks like some of you, both your sons and yours abilities have been displaced somewhere.
Yes, they have.
Okay, hang on, I'm gonna dig out one of these here. Let's see here.
It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
calling for it.
Yeah, I always, my brain always translates them to like tools that are being stored in a shed somewhere or in a library or something like that. And there's some kind of demon guarding this. Hold on. So I'm going to collapse that realm that he's in. There we go. And you're only going to get back what serves you in the now. And he's getting back, look, things as well. It looks like you both are getting some soul shards back. Let's see. All right.
Oh, that's super.
Okay. Oh, there's something coming with it. Nope. Okay. Okay. Do you accept only the energies that serve you in the here and now and discard any that do not?
Yes, I do.
And do you revoke any and all what are known as lineage curses?
Yes, I do.
Okay. There we go. Oh, one more. Okay. Do you revoke any and all agreements made in a dream time with any malicious being and their beings?
Yes, I do.
There we go. That did it. Okay. Reground you, reground him. Okay, there we go. And there's part of him that is unresponsive though. Let's see. I'm gonna flush this crap down the toilet. Give me a second. There's somebody cursing. I can hear somebody screaming at me. Okay, let me see.
Yeah.
It's always in German too. Okay, let me see. All right. So here's somebody in the background screaming in German. There's usually there might be Martian Germans involved in this. Let me see here.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of here. Okay. I just saw this face just lean in and look at me. So there's part of him that needs to be revived here. Hang on. Okay, and I'm going to get, oh, somebody created a duplicate to be able to dump something onto him. Hang on. I'm going to flush that down.
There was a lot of loss between my sons. So they were doing all kinds of things. I don't even know how many miscarriages there were between my sons over the 10-year gap between them, but they were definitely taking embryos for this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I've seen Martian German facilities. They grow embryos in big tubes and stuff like that, and in cloning facilities and stuff like that. This fits some of their MO here. Let's see. Does he have a contract in him anywhere? Let's see. Yeah. There's an ancient contract in here. I'm going to smash this, cut this thing in half here, and burn it. Come on. Isaac, I need your assistance, please. Thank you. All right. Okay. Oh yeah, that there was a heavy amount of codes and information coming from Mars. Heavy amount of it. I'm sending that back at them. They're going to be fairly unhappy here. Let's see. Oh, portal. Get rid of that.
Is he awake?
No, he's asleep at the moment. It's
Okay.
4:30 in the morning.
No, I mean,
Oh, sorry.
Spiritually.
Spiritually, there is a small aspect of him which he's 14, so he's going through a bit of the rebellion of, oh, mum's spiritual, that's like, I don't want to be spiritual. However, he has his friends and they're all like, oh my gosh, can we get on the table, can we do healings? He's like, oh, you guys are gay. It's like, no, they are just, they feel it's been that constant resistance because of what Chris is working through, that's blocked him. However, my youngest son, who's 4, has a completely different frequency, and his psionic ability and spiritual gifts already are through the roof. The recall he's had from his own missions, and he tells me about these different missions that he goes on and different beings that he sees, different spirit animals, is absolutely phenomenal. But lately, literally probably the last 2 months, whatever has been working through Jet has been starting to try and work its way through Phoenix as well.
Okay. So is he like more into the matrix and the mundane world kind of stuff?
Jet is, yeah, definitely.
Is that because of opposition to you, or is it because of the video games, or what is he doing usually?
I think it is a combination of both. He has had so much stuff happen to him, and he hasn't had a circle of friends where he's been accepted. He's always been on the outcast because of what society calls being on the spectrum. However, I could feel energetically it was such a layered shit fest, pretty much, of all these attachments and stuff that were going on. And he has really doesn't have a sense of self. He doesn't know who he is. And all he wants is to be accepted and loved. However, he continues to be rejected and come up against people who just take him in the wrong way. And he goes about trying to find attention and love in some not healthy ways with his peers. So we're just about to take him out of mainstream schooling once we get the approval and put him into a specialist school where they will have smaller class sizes, and they are all of the teachers are psychologists, but it's not about pushing that Western ideology onto him, but more so giving him the support to be his authentic self or discover who his authentic self is. But the video games absolutely feel like a portal too.
What do you notice in negative behaviors to others he's demonstrated?
Extremely manipulative ways of trying to get his own way. He's extremely defiant and rebellious. Any form of, trying to put a boundary in place, he will try to sabotage it. For me, trying to do my business with taking clients, whenever I have a client, even if he's aware of it or not, somehow something happens with him and it sabotages. Well, anyway, maybe there's aspects of me sabotaging as well, who knows? But there's been some massive abundance blocks. When he was younger, I was in a much more abundant flow as far as financial resources. However, since this behavior has been peaking, there's been this huge abundance block that's come through, because partly what I'd like to use that financial abundance for is to give him more support in living his best life, to be able to help book him in for sessions. So yeah, the abuse, which has also been physical, he's turned around and said things like, I'll stab you and watch you bleed and laugh whilst you die. Yeah, he's physically assaulted my dad. He on the surface shows great enjoyment out of making myself or my younger son suffer and be upset. He can't help but laugh when someone's crying or upset. There's been times in his younger years where he was found in the backyard dissecting lizards, whether or not that was out of curiosity or that was out of something else going on within him. But the animal side of things, that hasn't, not to my knowledge, that hasn't been anything that he's been diving into. I feel that there was an aspect of him that it was out of curiosity to sort of see how it works, but there was also a very sadistic aspect of him too that was, yeah.
How's his emotional body? Has he demonstrated empathy?
He demonstrates empathy in very small doses. Pretty much he is like, he was beaten up at school last week, and he actually let the bullies beat him up. He stood there and took it because he thought that they would think he's tough. And he literally was completely demoralized. It was recorded, it's circulated around surrounding schools. And he's so shut off emotionally that he's like, well, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. Mum, you're overreacting, it's fine. Whereas the school, now that they know about it, me, his dad, everyone's like, what the fuck? That's not okay to allow people to do that to you. But he's like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. But that's his thing, is that if he hurts someone's feelings, oh, well, fucking, I don't care. But I can feel that inner child, that beautiful, true, soulful spirit in him, bawling his eyes out, saying, why are we doing this? Like that little trapped aspect of him. Yeah, it's really, really hard. I see a comment coming up about someone else's son with ODD, and that's the kind of behavior, like that opposite defiant disorder, or whatever it's called. That's the kind of behavior. So the empathy is very rarely out. It's only until, and I don't get to this point very often, but last week I was at my lowest of low, going through these peaking energies, and I had a huge breakdown in front of him. And it was only until I got to that point of really breaking down where he was like, Mom, it's okay. Remember that little boy with the sandwiches. This is video, and he couldn't eat all this sandwich, and he had the sweetest little voice, and he was always such a mama's boy. He still is, but he's just an angry mama's boy at the moment. And that aspect of him shone through, but it was only at that peak explosion of energy that he was able to step forward. But it wasn't very long after that he was back to calling me a effing C-bomb and, other such language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that where his heart was severely blocked, and I looked at the area of his brain also involved in empathy as well. And I just blew on it like it was an ember and lit it up to see if something would happen. But there is definitely a concerted effort to put him into an emotionally numbed stage here. I'm definitely, it's helpful that he's asleep, because I'm able to work on him. But yeah, it's like his brain energy has been separated from his heart energy. I'm attempting to rewire him here. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna take, there was something that was on his throat here that was separating the energy, so I'm gonna yank that thing off. Let's see here. All right, there's part of him crying out for help. I could see it.
Yes, there is.
He's bound somewhere that I don't see. Let's see here. I'm gonna go.
What emotions does he demonstrate the most besides anger?
Anger is definitely the biggest one, but like manipulative, lying, twisting truths, fabricating truths, trying to act tough when he doesn't need to. Yeah, I mean, I think he's fearful in many aspects as well, but he doesn't want to admit it because he feels as though people are going to call him weak. He was told for a long time that, oh, you're so sensitive, just like your mum. And he really didn't like being told that. So he has suppressed his sensitivity, where he has a gift. Our sensitivity, everyone watching this, our sensitivity is a gift. It is a portal into the deepest of loves. And yes, it is also a portal into some of the low lows too. But that is a gift to feel all the highs and lows of life. Anyway, sorry, don't mind me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I honestly, like, when I try and think of what his predominant energies are, anger, frustration, manipulation, like that's mainly it. There are small moments where kindness comes through, but there's always this mischievous, I want to get a reaction. And it's normally, it's kind of like an energy vampire type situation. It's always got that kind of exchange.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you talked to him about this?
Yes, extensively.
And he forgets?
Yes, he doesn't even listen.
All right. Does he have like a reward or incentive or discipline if he doesn't listen?
Trying to discipline is very, very difficult. I have to wait until he's out of the red zone. But then as soon as I step in when he's calmer, quite often in the disciplinary area, he then completely goes back to the red zone and completely cracks the nays all over again. But if I try and discipline him in the moment of red, that's when the extremely abusive behavior will happen, and he will lash out violently and physically and very, very toxic verbally as well.
Right. Has he had any like dark spiritual experiences, or does he like how the Matrix likes to like put it off? Oh, that's you just getting sick, or that's just a migraine, or something like that.
Yeah, there's an aspect of him that definitely does try and take that Matrix approach. However, when he goes into full-blown psychosis, he gets the entity twitch, like when they literally, I obviously with my abilities, I can see.
You forget that it happened, or
yeah, he all of a sudden the psychosis, and he collapses and he wants a hug and he's like, oh my God, what just happened? And then I try and like, he'll ask me and I'll say, try and be mindful of using gentle wording with him and explain to him, that wasn't you, that was an energy coming through you. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, why am I like this? But then it's only really like half an hour to an hour after that something's coming back through him and triggering something all over again.
does he
It's a bit
remember that it's happened, or does he forget? And like
he forgets a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like go into somehow making a thing where he doesn't forget, because he needs to have enough like he has to have a certain amount of light experiences, and then he has to have dark experiences. The dark experiences will wake him up because they'll force him to be like a healer, like how we've had to have that happen.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So like he's like with the parasitic behavior, it's not his fault. He's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to do it. He needs all these little changes of like the direct and flow of everything. Right now, he'd be programming it to project his suffering onto you, and you're okay with taking it because you're his mom. I'd recommend not taking it for him and then compressing it back onto him while shining your love in unconditional non-strings attached, so that he can't like attach to you for that, so that he can build up and have a certain amount of experiences that eventually drive him towards healing, while seeing what you can do in reverse psychology if he has the oppositional aspect.
Yeah.
And something where you'd mainly not focus on healing the overwhelm of his stuff so that it can like build up into the experience, but mainly I'd recommend focusing on transmuting the huge amount of sleep energy that's being put on him, and using that as a opportunity to train your awakening ability. You can transmute any energy into its opposite. So the sleep energy that would be keeping him in the matrix, you can practice transmuting all that into awakening energy, so that can build up into those experiences, as well as you can put traps on him or throughout his timeline for anything that wants to change him towards the matrix and all that. And then it, like as they cross that boundary, then you can make the rules of, oh, you're leading to his a greater awakening into positivity and light. And then get rid of limits and prisons and mind control on him is the other stuff I'd recommend mostly focusing on, and making it so that you shine the love while he's in suffering, so that he orients out of it. And because like suffering is the teacher, like to change behavior, so not to like shield him from that, but to like offer him the light that shows him where to go. Then not taking his crap from him, and like using it as like a training, so that you can have it not have power over you anymore, while helping him get back his stuff, because in the things I'm seeing, it would be mostly an emotional shutdown period. So like bringing up that time that he shut down his being sensitive and being okay, in like focusing on that and opening that back up, and like seeing how to balance both. Like it's good to both be able to have a grand shield, but instead of like cutting off the heart as the way to do that, that you can open the heart while transmuting all the pain he's been through into the shield. Like he'd be teach him how to transmute things, like taking the big emotion, give it size and scale, fill it with love, and then have it shrink down as a weight on a heart. He's got a lot. He's mostly demonstrating the solar plexus blocks to his power, which then makes it so he shuts down his own energy and has to get it externally. So help him realize how to get through that. Anger is when there's something that's a challenge that the power then gives enough power to overcome it, but it's not being allowed out, and it's pressurizing, it's building up, and it's being blocked from flowing through the energetic circuit that it should be in the body. So doing some type of activity to burst it open and have it flow will help him. So like help him like get that, do that away from people, and do it enough to where it like, because it's not like an infinite amount, but he has to have it all flow out to the level that he's dealing with, and things being imprinted onto him, and the limitations and cages and things stealing from him. I'm reading he's like in his emotional body at least 1 out of 100% whole. So you can like help him gain that wholeness back, and wherever those parts came from, we can go back to the wounds and retrieve them. And then nothing, because things are dumping energy onto him and emotions, maybe some bullying having to do with that, and then getting those parts back from him. I can help you with that later. And yeah, the fear, facing those fears and transmuting that, because that'll be his greatest shield internally, and then he won't have to fear anything. The frustration means he's coming up feeling blocks as well to the end, and same thing with the energy, and dealing with that. Art of letting go and art of transmutation, he's got to really know about, and then he can like chip away through that heart layer. Ask him what his goals are. If he goes into I want to be happy and love, then most people don't actually are willing to do what it takes to do that. But as you give it the tools of how to do that to him, and in a way that he can remember it, and he's able to try it. Like you give him the tools, and then you tell him, may I do something that may trigger you into emotions so that you can try it, because he has to like have an emotion that's big enough so that he can actually do it efficiently. And then as long as he's okay with that, and you can like figure out what emotion he's been feeling the most, and like in a way that's not like gonna super offend him or anything like that. But I'm sure you could trigger him in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, pretty trigger happy, that one. Yeah.
And then have him like go through it, and then be with him while he's doing it, and then having support and ways to like reward him for him doing well, and showing that he has gifts far beyond others, but like the gifted come with also as much weights and baggage and targeting.
Yeah.
So letting him know it's not a bad thing that he was born the way he is. And even if he was born with as much darkness as you're talking about, that just means he has a lot of fuel he can transmute into his of the pain and the suffering or whatever, into the opposite polarity. Because no people that haven't experienced that level of suffering can experience only them can experience a greater level of love than they've experienced in the past.
Definitely. We've discussed that before. Yeah.
I don't know, get a lot of sticky notes and put that all around of like the lesson, because the memory thing will have to do with the other entities, and then you can cut off the entities from doing things that would stop the growth. So your ultimate goal is growth, not like shielding him from his own suffering, and make sure he's not dumping that onto you, or anyone else is not taking that up for him. And then help him learn how to create the light inside, so he makes his own energy, which is indicated by bliss and then being in happy. And let him ask him in different ways that because like if you ask him in the same way, it will trigger him. So ask him in different ways so it doesn't apply the trigger. It's weird, people.
Yeah.
To where like, okay, are you able to express bliss currently? And like that is the thing you'd be asking in different ways, to see if he has his heart shut down, and he's having to take energy from others, or is he like in a maintaining like expansion of it, which will be challenged, but as long as he's able to have those challenges and then the tools to break through after enough times of doing it, it will become easier, and then he'll be able to transmute everything that he's inherited from the past.
Yeah.
And psychopathy or whatever, it's not like a permanent fixture. It's just like a really hard expression of mostly shut down emotional body, which can always be opened up again, so that it's nothing far gone. It's just our medical establishment is really shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, Sean. I was looking of the whole time. People are thinking I'm just sitting here. No, I was looking at different layers and different aspects of him. I put a couple of sticky notes in his brain, pretty much, and I was telling him to remember what he's encountered, what he's learned, in whatever frequency it comes in, whatever encounter he has. But yeah, he's definitely meant to encounter this dark shit to be able to learn how to get rid of it. I got rid of like the overage that was there, but it was like, but he's still meant to walk through this fire and to basically balance himself. A lot of this is up to him, but also at the same time, since he's 14, I was able to get away with, deleting a bunch of codes and junk that I didn't need. And yeah, it looks like, I was seeing some things controlling him and whispering in his ear from time to time, like in his dreams, he gets whispered in his ear a lot. And does he ever talk about his dreams, or he just doesn't talk about it?
He doesn't talk about it, but I've definitely felt that he can hear and see a lot more than what he likes to admit. And he knows that his cousin was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He knows that we've got friends that were diagnosed with schizophrenia. So he's extremely, 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 I can feel that fear of if he admits that he has any form of ability, that he's going to be going down that road.
Yeah.
Fear as it comes
definitely.
up. My mom will like, no, let's shut down the conversation, and some other stuff. But like, you're his mom, so it's like, well, no. And then what are you gonna do? Play video games? So yeah, help him through that fear. Like, bring him into the cave. It's not gonna hurt him. It's just gonna expose the emotions of fear he's already been holding on to all this time. It's not new fear. Let him know that it's not new fear coming in. It's something you've already held on to, and then have him practice through and transmute it, and let him know that he's going to transmute that fear into his swords, into his shields, into everything he needs in confidence. Like it is the thing that makes the root strong. And you could use other words like the defense, the ability to exist. Fear is at the precipice of every major challenge we face. It's always going to be there. There's no one fearless. Bravery is being able to do and what you need to do and face what you need to face despite the fear. And that's his strength, and transmutation into like that excitement to take on the fear instead of being overwhelmed with it, so that he can get into that excitement. That will, and then breathing it in like it is that thing that makes him stronger, will get him past to what he is seeking. And then and then as long as you tell him he can be sensitive while being brave and strong at the same time, you don't have to choose.
Exactly.
Yeah, you'll see a totally different person after that. Yeah, definitely encourage him, not to co-create his own demise, like just like with like thinking that he's going to turn out like the others. No, just try to encourage him not to become that. Just like exactly like what you said, Sean. He has to walk in his own confidence and actually be excited to get rid of a lot of this. I can agree completely on that. Yeah, I can see where he reminds me of me at that age. I was very similar, actually. This is definitely an opportunity to basically conquer those demons of his. And when he does that, you'll see far less attacks, if any, to inhibit him from external sources. I got rid of the ones that were there, but he has to assert himself to where they don't come back and do anything to him. But if he's meant to learn something from that, to be able to actually go down this same road, like either mine or Sean's road, to become more shamanistic, then he's going to actually encounter many different types and learn the antidote to get rid of it. So if he's meant to go down that road.
And the behavior comes up, then they'll probably keep coming back. Unfortunately, it's like weird how it works. But
I know it firsthand too. That's for sure. Yeah.
With
I just want to say, to Sean and Chris, thank you so much for helping her with this. I mean, I'm listening to all this amazing, just information that's so helpful and valuable. You guys,
it is.
If I have anything to offer you to say, I'm getting choked up. Okay. You guys are so freaking awesome.
Thank you.
You really are.
And to help her with NNA, divine feminine, or feminine with the womb problem, if you want to take back your womb, mostly goes into shield the timeline of it from inception, and like even the DNA lineage in a big fortress trap around the womb, detach from everything coming in and trying to attach, camouflage it so it's like, oh no, it's just a regular womb, don't worry about it. And because you're going into divine stuff. Then just be okay with like making the bright light out of it stronger and stronger into such an intensity that it destroys anything that attaches to it, because it needs to be pure. There's a lot of things that want to attach to it. It's annoying. You overcome creative force and all that.
I want to say something to that, if you don't mind. I'm sorry, Sean, please forgive me for interrupting.
Go for it.
I know that women hold the light in our wombs. And I was also told that I was being used as a portal to bring, I don't know what, through my body, that I was a portal. Chris, Keller told me that. And so especially when we activate and our DNA becomes activated and our Kundalini energy activates, this will attract. It's like a moth to lights, right? Or moths to light. Is that right? Am I saying that right, y'all? Where they just come and they want a part of you. They want to use you. They want your body. They want your light. They want to use you for their benefit. I quit having sex. I'm quite open about that. 4 years, and I'm okay with it. Until I meet my absolute beloved, absolutely not. No one, I just won't do it. Because there's so much that goes along with the energy connection. Am I off here? Am I saying this correctly?
No, you are saying it correctly. You're absolutely saying it correctly. From all the trauma that I've been through, and we've had our own discussions, Ida, I won't go into those.
Yes.
But the amount of clearing that I've had to work through from all my sexual trauma, not just from what happened to me as a child, not what just happened to me off world, but what I willingly walked into as part of my self-harming over the years. It's been huge, and it's continuous process as well. But we are a divine vessel, and that is a divine space that is extremely powerful.
Sacred would be a great word, right?
Yeah.
And I realized, and it took a long time and a willingness to sit still and to be comfortable in my own skin and my own body, and not to share it with anybody else for selfish reasons. Really, I use sex just like I did drugs, food, everything else, as a way to try to find comfort and solace within myself, to feel some kind of connection and love.
I can definitely see that. You'll definitely. I wasn't hearing too much on this, but I was hearing in the background that you'll definitely come to find the external love when you find the internal. So I heard that quite loudly.
Oh.
So
Lovely.
also when it comes to dreams, also back to you, Lily, make sure that when he's dreaming, that he knows he can take control of the dreamscape. You can do the same thing. Don't accept anything any being gives you in dream time at all. Don't go into strange structures, buildings, or vehicles, or anything like that in dreams. I've noticed that if something opens the door for you or anything like that. I've also noticed wearing a hematite bracelet to bed helps with that quite a bit. But yeah, definitely take control. He needs to take control. You can take control of that, of the dreamscape. You'll notice far less attacks from that as well. If you take control of that realm and beat them back a few times, and don't play their game in the dreamscape, don't run from anything, turn around and see what's doing it. People always run and get chased, but turn around and see what's chasing you, and take control of it and kick them out of your space. And that's essentially what I've done. But yeah, I'm being told, yeah, all the above for that, but also with Isaac, I'm not going to say that. Okay, let me see. He was going to say something to you, Ada, when you said you hadn't had sex in a long time. He was like, like that. So I was like, no, you're not. Okay, but he's always doing that.
That is so funny. Oh my goodness.
Don't be afraid to have sex.
I'm sorry.
But good to pick your partners. It's okay to fuck, but it's I always like extreme loving detachment faster. As soon as everything stops, like, okay, let me take you some
disentangle,
because like it's mostly not the fault of the individual. They have no idea. It's mostly the energetic event of it is like a big bridging between universes. A lot of like things will get resolved and shadow will come up, and then entities will try to harvest because it's very powerful energy. So it's a big protection bubble and traps and everything that needs to be given space and healing and letting go of all those and making it so that it doesn't get your energy. Otherwise it will interfere with and program the person later to come.
Can I ask you, Chris, a long time ago, I mentioned, sorry, y'all, a long time ago, we talked about when I had you and Joanne on, I don't know, it's been like a year or something. And I had said to you that I had chosen by choice. It's not like I can't date or whatever. Of course I could. I just choose not to. It's not, I'm open to meeting somebody, but I'm not open to all the nonsense that comes along with it.
Well, yeah.
I'm on a certain path.
Tinder isn't up yet, too.
I'm sorry?
Spiritual Tinder isn't up yet.
Where the fuck is it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I saw that on Facebook, but that's how I end up in a love bite situation, by going on these that, and also they use it for the guy Rick who worked at the Pentagon, who came and said to me, if I didn't know you were special, I'd left you alone a long time ago. 6'4" Denzel swag dude, right? Who was being used to monitor me. He was part of the Black Ops that abducted me. But anyways, I know this. The point is, I was going to say, you said, I asked you, Chris, about how you mentioned that there's a way that you can protect yourself during sex where they're not able to siphon the energy. Would you mind sharing that? I'm sure a lot of people would probably like to know that.
Yeah, what you do is some of the bad guys will try to distract you, so that they can get in on that. But you also you just basically have that a sacred space or like a temple space during sex, and also make sure that no negative entities are allowed within that space, either within your body or outside of your body, and make sure that it's always in a high vibrational state or a very active vibrational state versus just the act of, if that makes sense. But also, as I've noticed, even in recent days, even since the last time we spoke, there are beings that have been hiding out in people's like sacrum area, basically siphoning the energy off from the reverse side inside the person. I've noticed, and it's really weird. Yeah, and it's very, very creepy actually. And I've noticed, and there can be more than one entity doing this. They can hide within that space. And the only reason I noticed anything one time is because everything was very heavy. I'm going, what is this all about? And then I got rid of what was trying to make its way through the cord. What also happens is just basically declare that you're not really forming cords to the other person. That you're basically you're not forming any sort of cord or that type of, how can I put it, any negative connection to the other person, or anything that you've entangled with is not going to entangle with the other person. Just kind of just have that intention when you go into it.
Well, I think that's a great information to share with us, and thank you. I mean, I haven't done it in so long. I haven't been in a position to have to call on that or to do that for myself, but it's lovely to know that for sure. When, I do look forward to making love again and having sex and the joy of it, but I just really want to be in a place where I'm grounded within myself and my own heart enough that if someone chooses to walk away, I can let go with love rather than be attached. That's the whole thing, is attachments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also I found out, from having been with also Joanna, and also I've also noticed that with other people I've talked to about this, that sometimes, some people carry the energy of any previous partners they've had too, just minor like entanglements. I've seen this. There was somebody that had multiple entanglements with like a couple of the same people, and they were wondering why they were losing potency in that area. And I said, well, have you cut ties to any previous partners? They're like, well, yeah, I broke up with one. It's like, no. I said, did you cut energetic ties to them? And
super
they're
common,
like,
right? Yeah, it's super common, right? Nobody detaches from their old lover, so it's like they're all exchanging things, and then some things are
everything's entangling with
I
everything.
think that's, I mean, I would love to have, okay, can I just say for the record, like at some point, maybe all of us come back on and have a show specific to that and sexual energy,
Oh yeah,
sex magic, how
Yes.
we let go, because sex is part of its nature. It's part of our makeup. To think that,
Yeah.
that it's dirty or, I walked around with shame and guilt. I used to have a lot of sex. I love sex.
Sometimes rude to just save their junk before. So I
Wait, say that
recommend you
again.
like set up
Are you,
fortress
let me
before or
spray.
after.
Are you clearing the space, Sean? I'm not trying to.
No, it's good conversation.
I feel like my energy field is completely clear of all that. I've done a lot of,
I went through with a giant
before we do this, let's
was like
stage
all
a
the cords.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. This is. I knew when Isaac started walking in the room, somebody was about to mention something, and then like
Isaac must love sex.
Well, yeah. When you were talking about that before, when you said you didn't have a partner, he went like this. So it's like, and so yeah.
Isaac likes you, Ada.
But I mean, he's extremely prolific in that area, and he for years, I was very shy in that area, and he would appear and go, "Oh, would you lighten up already?" and stuff like that, And
I used to be a prude too, and I had, I was like, I was, what's that saying where you're whatever. Just very sexual person, but behind closed doors, but in front of people, like I was very prudish, didn't like if people talked about sex. I didn't want the conversation. I don't know why I felt so, even though like sexual jokes. My sister loves sexual jokes. Frida, she's hilarious. She's funny as crap. Or she'll call me up, show me her breasts, like to have the phone. I'm like, you are such a weirdo. Why do you do that?
My family's been so like out there. My mum has only ever been with my dad. She's only ever had one sexual encounter, which is my dad. However, she is the dirtiest minded lady that you'll find, and her nickname is Dirty Jan. And so sexual jokes in our house and just like cheekiness is it's definitely something that's been a big thing, and everyone's very open about their encounters. And you don't always want to listen about your parents' sex life, but no, they'll put that shit on the table for you. They're like, nah, take this serve. So that's
funny.
It's
I am very lighthearted about it, although I do take my my healing and my well-being and my sexual energy much more serious than I did when I was younger. Of course,
Yeah.
when you grow up and go through the things like what we've shared before
Yeah.
with you learn to become promiscuous, you learn to look for love in the outside of yourself, or confuse sex with love and that kind of thing. And I'm so very thankful that I've gotten to get to where I'm at, and I continue to grow and spiritually evolve and become learned to the best of my ability. And
Likewise.
yeah, because it
Yeah.
feels so much better than to,
Yes.
there's nothing like having sex with somebody you love so much, or you feel you do, and then after sex you feel so depleted and disconnected, right? That's the worst feeling from a
Mhm.
woman's perspective. I don't know about men, but when you really love and care about somebody and the feeling isn't mutual, I mean, they say it, but you don't feel it, and you feel depleted and hurt and drained, it sucks. I
Mhm.
don't ever want to feel that way again.
Like a
And
vacuum.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Like a vacuum, yeah.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah.
draining.
Yeah.
I mean, I went through that. I went through that when I went through my love bite scenario, where I met the guy on not Tinder, but one of these freaking things, because I was thinking, I don't want to go to a bar and meet anybody. I don't drink. I don't do drugs anymore. Like, where am I going to meet somebody that, is at least I can resonate with, or develop a friendship and build a whatever. I was ready to settle down. I was in my 40s. It was like, okay, I want a life partner. I want somebody to build a life with. And it was a love bite scenario in every way. But then I
Yeah.
found out when I went in the fourth dimension, or in my dream time, that the person they sent to me to drain me of my Kundalini energy was not the person that actually I was connected to in the fourth dimension, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've noticed that people have relationships in different
And
dimensional
Chris,
layers.
you know this, and
Yeah.
yeah. So he was
Honestly,
only being used as a vessel for that
yeah.
being to enter in order to be able to do what he did. And I'm over that too. Like, I'm over it. I'm not angry about it anymore. I just know better, much better now,
Yeah.
in a big
Honestly,
way.
I see with my clients, there's sort of a mixed bag, but probably about 80% of my clients are women who have been through these kinds of, whether it's sexual trauma or carrying shame. So sacred sexuality is such a great topic. And if we are able to all co-create on a conversation on that topic again, I think it would be absolutely amazing. All of us have got our own experiences and wisdom. I've definitely learned a lot as far as how to heal and how to dive into that. But I think that having the contrast of Sean and Chris with us would be just such a wealth of wisdom.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's something that the audience, and I know my audience in particular, can absolutely benefit from, for sure.
Absolutely.
Sounds
I
wonderful. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And also you use lots of like tags and like like lots of what's the word?
hashtags, is that
Clickbait.
what you said?
Because it's
Okay.
like for some reason it's the most like when I just put
Hashtag
a
let's talk about sex, baby.
Okay,
yeah, 'cause-
Lily, we have to get together and
algorithm.
co-create and prepare something to present a
Oh, you know,
presentation to these two,
Yeah.
right? And then we will come back together. Are we all in agreement to this?
Oh, yeah,
September?
definitely. I think this is
September?
a topic that is, it needs to be talked about, because especially over 2020, people entered into sexual areas that now they're having a hard time getting out of, and
Yes.
like
Well,
with porn
and
addictions, all that other stuff.
sexual
Yeah.
areas. they
even
can't get
talking
out.
about the twin flame thing, or you're the divine counterpart, or whatever. Like, I know these are real things. I mean, you're with your divine counterpart. I know Joanne, and you are. I mean,
Mhm.
she's amazing. I don't know if Sean and Lily have met her, but Joanne is she's amazing. She really is. I loved, yeah. So, but yeah, these are things that need to be talked about. So I would
Thank
love
you.
to come up with a presentation to you both, and then invite, let's come back on, and September would be great. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
push you too far out,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
have a
September
fun-
works, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be fab. What do you think, Sean?
Sounds good. Looking
Oh,
forward
works for
to
me,
it.
yeah.
Lots of clickbait.
Well,
Oh,
with
yeah.
that,
When I put a sex video, it goes right up to the top for some reason. I don't have any idea why people.
well, of
Well,
course,
I
yeah,
do.
because we are, that's the whole thing. What I was trying to say was we are sexual beings. We are divine sexual beings. And the higher realms, they may not have the physical connect, but they face one another and they hold. Oh, I've heard you guys talk about this. I mean, this is where I learned it from. I think it was you, Sean. I'm sure Chris, where, they send loving energy to one another and it's euphoric and blissful. And
Oh,
we
that's
love to feel
possible.
good. There's
You
nothing
can
wrong
have
with
those
that.
connections here. You can be on the other sides of the world and still have those kinds of really divine, intimate, beautiful connections.
Yes.
Totally possible.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
absolutely agree. And
Yeah.
and I was talking to one of the girls the other day, one of the ladies that was on the women's round circle I did, roundtable, whatever, the other day with a couple other women. And I had talked to Veronica prior to the show. And I said to her, we often hear about how people are like, I want to escape and go to another planetary system and I want off the planet so bad, this and that. And I'm like, no, we are so blessed. Look at how we're able to
It's the
come
creme
together.
de la creme.
Yeah.
Earth is the creme
Yes.
de la creme.
Yes. To go out and just smell a
Out
flower,
here for
touch the
vacation.
bark of a tree,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
to play with the dog. I mean, just the stuff that we're able to do in this reality. Yes, the spirit
Yeah.
world is beautiful. But we're so blessed. And I
We
used
are.
to be one of them because I was so pained up that was just another way to escape from feeling my feelings and healing. Was I want to go back to Pleiades or Lemuria or whatever. And I just don't feel that way anymore, you guys. Things have changed big time for me. And
And then, you
it
get back
took
out there and then you'd get back out there and go, why did I do that? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, why did I leave in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, Max Spears used to speak big about this, and I'm friendly with his mother on Facebook, and I just adore him. I know, we all have had our dark and our light, our challenges, whatever, but he had mentioned, like, this is the only realm. This is why the Dracos get so attached and want to keep doing this loop thing, because of being in the physical realm. This material world is so magical and beautiful and lovely, and you really can create, manifest anything you want if you have the power and the will to do so. But it doesn't mean stay small and sit in your house and the picket fence and the dog and the whole bit. If that's your thing, fine. But you can still be expansive and still appreciate being grounded in here and now. And what,
Absolutely.
yeah. So,
Absolutely.
and we
From
know
all-
that by these two guys. I mean, they're doing
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So are you, Lily. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm so fortunate
and
and
you.
blessed that I've made some pretty amazing connections throughout the years, and I'm developing newer friendships now, which feels good. I'm
Yeah.
open to allowing things to fall away if needed, where I just was, yeah. Well, I don't know if the word confused, but just really trying to figure out how I was going to do it on my own for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like that. When I look around and I really think about these moments, it's like, I'm really freaking blessed. I'm super, super blessed. And I appreciate these moments, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank
And
you.
I don't mean to, I'm not trying to love bomb you or overdo it. I just want you to know the sincerity from my
Four
heart.
bombs away.
All right. Drop those bombs. They're the best bombs to drop.
Well, I am not, yeah, you know it if I don't like you. Meaning, because I don't talk poorly, but I just don't, right? Like when I really have a strong appreciation for people, I let them know. I think it's important. We need to let each other know we appreciate and we see you. May not talk every day on the phone, but I see you and I feel you. I know the amazing things that you're doing, and that goes for all of you guys. So
Yeah.
again, thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Please make sure to tell Miss Joanne that I said hello and I love her and I
Yeah.
send her lots of love. Yes.
I
And
will, yeah.
maybe she'll be interested to come and join us for the
Oh,
next
oh
one.
yeah. Just
Yeah.
today, she's at one of her long days of work today. So it's
Yeah.
she works 3 long days a week, and then like the other 4 days, it's like she's home. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's better anyways. You get to get your hours out of the way and you have more free time with you and doing other things, creative stuff.
Mhm.
But is there anything that anyone wants to, my 2 clients just confirmed their appointments, so I don't want to
Yeah.
not, I don't want to be, so let's just go for another 20 minutes or so, if that's okay. Around
All
4
right.
o'clock we'll end.
Well,
Everybody
do we
get a
want
few
to-
minutes to say last things that maybe you want to share. Definitely want to get Chris and all of y'all. Katie will make sure if you could send me your email and your website information, so I can forward it to Katie. So when we publish this, we have it to put in our comment section for
Mhm.
anybody that's interested in booking a session with either one of these guys. I will not pick one over the other. They both are equally super talented. They both can get you on the road to, doing great things. And so I recommend them both. And Miss Lily also is doing work now. But you're now starting it back up. Is that right, Lily?
Yeah, yep. So I had my 4th near-death experience last year where my lung collapsed onto my heart, major lung surgery in February, took off a big chunk off the top of my left lung. But that's all.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was a big one. It was quite interesting actually going into the hospital and thinking I was going in there for surgery, but then had this massive mission ahead of me of clearing out the hospital of all its hauntings and clearing all the people in there. I was like, all right, let's go to work then, no worries. Half my lungs missing, but it's okay, I've got this. So that was a fun initiation process to go through, but it was good. So my books are open again, and I really love the fact that working within the multidimensional realms, space and time has no restriction on what is possible. So you can be on the other side of the world and we can absolutely do some amazing work together too. So but yeah, you too. Oh my goodness, Ida, I love you as well. But this has
I
just been
know.
such a treat. Now, because I'm co-host and I meant to try and keep this ship on track. Well, what was the topic of tonight's today's discussion? We didn't actually answer that question. So maybe to finish up, what we could do is talk about what are the differences between psionic abilities versus spiritual gifts, because we haven't answered that in a
Entirely.
Chris did briefly go.
Yeah.
But yes, we absolutely, I agree. And I just got to step away for a minute, but I'm listening. I can hear. So
Okay.
no worries, darling.
okay.
Okay. What I've run into, with the psionic abilities, that's more cerebral, is like what I was saying before, where you're focusing on even utilizing technology to say remote view or to go to a certain location. Like I use my psionic abilities when I bilocate somewhere, but at the same time, it's being fueled with me through spiritual and magical abilities through the heart space. And people always like to call me very cerebral, but it's because when I'm working, I'm trying to keep emotions in check and such. But the spiritual abilities, like transmuting, healing, and a lot of these other different different abilities, such as regenerating and all this other stuff, that's more under spiritual. But at the same time, the psionic can also be used, but it has a lack of, how can I put, a lack of soul there. You have the spiritual in, and you have this other psionic and or psionic ability. And I consider it more cerebral on one end and more heart space on the other. That's how I would define both of them separately. I don't know if Sean has a different take there. Did you want to answer that one too?
Sure. Okay, spiritual gifts, super psionic abilities. Interesting. Way to phrase that. Yeah, I can combine them together if you want, or separate them as like everything's one. So it's like, this one big, huge full spectrum amount of light and energy, then like it's spreading out to any other expression of itself. So I use both in defining. I'll use the psionic aspect to reach more of the scientific mind and be able to explain it, understand it's a science, the skeptics that they're just behind and they haven't researched it, and then give them all the facts and the ways to look at it, and then some of their ego to chew on so they can go forth and understand that they can empower themselves in mind over matter in energetic mission of silence from the brain and ability to influence. The will and the mind visions is what can influence chi. Chi is a full spectrum body emission of all many different types of energy. And I'll also categorize that in many different forms as well. Chi can also be expressed in spiritual form, or the spirit essence of itself, or the soul, the fuel. The difference between the spirit and the soul is like the soul is kind of a fuel backpack and plus memory backpack of who you are this lifetime, and it's kind of a essence of how long you're going to live for, and you can add to the soul and keep expressing itself past death. Spirit gifts, what you're born with, what you're savant in, what you're best at in the life will usually be an inheritance from what you've earned in the past, and can demonstrate easily past the barrier of amnesia and program into the DNA and things that you're going to be good at. And those are always there in the heart, waiting for people to open and make from its dormancy. And they'll usually be sealed away or out of the spectrum until the person feels safe enough for them to shine out. And they'll start with the beginning ones, usually in the root aspect, and then build upon it as they make their defenses, their creativity, their power can shine out as it has the defense to do so. And then their love can expand outward without wounding. And even wounds to the heart can be used in a form of ways to make the heart even greater, because it like breaks the shields or the limits that allow you to go deeper into the core of it. But that like takes healing a fuck ton of sadness that'll come out and transmuting that. Otherwise it'll like trigger the person to like making a bunch of shields from feeling that, because it's not that fun to feel. Then super psionic abilities. So besides psionic abilities and just building upon that and what you can like make and influence and see and perceptions and senses and like building off. So I'd start with the empathic and the ability of the senses, and then build upon them. Every action you can do can have a psionic overlay that amplifies that in existence, like brushing your teeth, healing the timeline of your teeth, or like a waste, you're releasing that, or running, like being able to like in the unseen meet all your goals faster, and any like thing that you can see as having a type of energy extension can be extended off of an action. Make it your wand, your intention, your working out. You can amplify what your higher self is already doing, what it's already good at, and then you it teach you in knowingness as that flows in, as the consciousness merges back into the heart, and you gain the knowingness of what you've done. Going into super psionic abilities, that's also something I love to touch on as well. There seems to be a lot of barriers on this planet in this dream of like what you're allowed to do. And for those that have dreamed themselves flying and doing telekinesis, is like many times different dream worlds will have different rules. This one has a bunch of different rules based on how many people screwed with it in the past, and them needing to change it to people earning it and then protecting it from being stolen, and then lessening the degree of abusers in the realm as it quarantines itself down, and then it's allowed to unfold its psychic children and super psychic kids, that miracle kids, all the things of people being able to express higher dimensional, just being able to do it kind of expression. But and those that are able to, like myself, translate and tune into what it takes to do so, and then build it up for others to learn, that anyone can learn.
There's a lot. Superpowers, like power goes into the solar plexus, so that light, then the sun deep inside that fuels the entire being, and then that fuel going into the operating systems in the body that already exist, the inherited technology of the genetics, and then getting that online to do its function. We have a lot of inheritance of from all these hybrid races that have added to us to make a super hybrid. The technology in our own body of a smartphone and telepathy, in like the computer to access the Akashic and every data of information library. We have the function of like a ship in anti-gravitic propulsion technology in gravitational field control. We also, these are all dormant, so these are the eventual things to look forward to. We also have teleportation dormant in us, but then there's many other things too that have been added together, and there are a lot of rules on it based on beings trying to steal it. And as soon as you do stuff like that, things are alerted to it, and then it becomes kind of hellish in the person's life. So why the higher self is like, no, you don't want to do that yet. And then unless it's camouflaged enough or the threat's gone, is usually what it is. And then it's annoying because of the amount of excuses, but I'd say keep working toward it, but like build yourself up with focuses of all the small abilities you can build up to until you get to that level.
That was fabulous.
Yeah.
Bam,
Absolutely
there it
fabulous.
is.
Good job, Sean. That was
Oh, good job,
awesome.
both of you. My
Yes,
goodness.
both of them, of course.
I am so excited for the replay and my notebook, but after some sleep, because you know it's 5:30 in the morning. over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so last minute things, because I'm thinking I just remembered that I have to replace the electric. So I do foot detoxes, ionic foot detoxes for people. And I also went to school to become a microblade technician or artist using non-toxic vegan ink for semi-permanent for women that either may have had cancer or alopecia or just no eyebrows, right? Just empowering. I thought I got to get out of the spiritual stuff for a minute, like just do something else. So between the eyebrows and doing foot detoxes, it's just getting going. I'm not, but I love it because I'm able to really touch the feet of women and men, and massage and send love and healing energy through my hands, and also at the same time remove all that yucky stuff throughout their organs. So I have what's called an array, and the array, you guys probably know about this, but I'll share it with those that may find it in their local cities. Look for ionic foot balancing sessions with, see if there's anybody providing it near you, because, and I'm not saying just any machine. I think it has to be a particular good quality machine, because there's some, it's like buying a Sony from a Magnavox, like or whatever. The quality is just different. But I quit smoking after 40 years from doing the detoxes. So it helped. Yeah, 40 years I smoked, and I haven't smoked a cigarette since March 3rd. And I'm super proud of myself. So I've been slowly.
You should. Congratulations.
I did have an apple martini for my birthday the other night, but only one. I haven't, I don't really drink anymore. Like, I just don't find joy in that stuff much anymore. But you have to replace the plates in the array often, like after every 10 sessions, so you can get a good pull for your clients. So I need to replace them. That was my whole point in telling y'all. Thank you for listening.
Oh, I love it.
These guys are so patient. Sean and Chris, they're used to, I talk. I don't know if it's the freaking AI in me or if it's coming from my.
No, it's just, look, we're
My brother
chatterboxes, and that's okay.
No,
That's
my brother
why
said,
we create
Aida.
YouTube channels, because we like to talk, we like to share stories, we love people sharing stories, we love co-creating conversations. So it's why we're all similar in our own ways, that's for sure. But there is a quick question here for Sean.
Sure.
So what is the meaning of telekinesis in a dream?
This is a dream. And yeah, so
I'll
there's just different
absolutely
rules
agree.
with every dream. Think of it like it's interchangeable with light hologram, the reality, the bubble, the realm you're in. They're all dreams, but in different rules and like categories and technology of experience. There's an advanced one that has many degrees, and the DNA tech that interacts with it at this spectrum of light is perceived as there's 0.0001% of any given space is perceived by us, this body, and like everything else is like overlaid on top of each other, different realms. So besides that, other dreams, you'll notice if you test them, if you're lucid, which is knowing the truth and hey, there's a dream, and trying it out and trying telekinesis, sometimes you can do it, and depending on the dream, with ones that are being more incurred on and have like things like making different rules depending on the scenario. It may not even be negatively like program the dream realm to limit the different abilities, because it may have like a purpose or like a scenario to make it fun in the limitation. But some of the time it's the limitation is because something's incurring on the dream and something's stealing the authority, so that the incurring force is the only one that's able to utilize that. So then the original construct of the dream, intelligence, conscious, whatever you want to call it, will then have a quarantine aspect to limit all representations of abilities, so that it lessens things that can be stolen more and vampired off this force until it shrinks down that as a problem. Similar with what is going on in this realm. There's a bunch of different things that are abusing it until they're taken care of as a problem. Then there'll be limitations to the abilities in this dream with telekinesis and other forms of the greater ability of like force or psychic ability or flying or whatever. But like it doesn't mean that's been limited entirely. Individuals exist around the planet. There's like kids in China that can pass through walls and teleport and stuff. So some crazy stuff. But yeah, that's to represent, to keep the flame alive, that's still possible, and it takes a lot to maintain that and hold that and protect it from being, and everyone can do that. That's also in the individual growth graduation journey as well, which I recommend. But so that definitely work into yourself, but let the cup fill over so that the reality benefits from it as well. We resolve it entirely so that powerful people and the people that earned it in positive moral code is what I'm reading Earth is wanting to gear towards, the ones that gain power in the positive that earned it instead of
Positive moral code. That is,
That
well, that's going to be on my mind for a little while now.
Yeah,
What does
I
that
agree.
really mean? Integrity. Yeah.
I agree there. Basically, when you're resolving within the self, you're transforming a reality around you, and basically transforming the codes and codexes around you to benefit everyone else. So when I do sessions, I do that all the time. I ground it into the benevolent Akashic and spread it everywhere after that. So that's what I do too. But then somebody else can grab a hold of that information and utilize it however they need to.
Yeah,
That's
touching
usually
the
how-
divinity, deviating that to the rest of the reality.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so lovely. What a lovely way to end this show today.
yes.
That was
Oh.
so freaking awesome.
That was a
Yeah.
great show. Thank you.
Great show, guys. Thank you so much. I'm so pleased, so thankful for this. I trust it will reach the hearts of many, and definitely the ones that need it will get, it will
And
be
thank
well
you
Yes,
all
yes.
so
Thank you.
much for
We did this
supporting
together.
me
This
and
isn't-
supporting my beautiful son, like especially.
Yes. Oh, that's so awesome. Because I know that's been heavy on your heart, Lily.
It's been really heavy on my heart, and these damn financial abundance blocks that have been coming through. I've been wanting to book all these sessions, but I'm like, I need dollars, especially as well. The currency exchange from Australian to US is not the most friendliest either. But to have this honor of both of you two, like, wow. supporting us. I'm just so thankful and so grateful from every bit of me and every bit of my son too.
Grateful too.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
Thank you.
know
Thank
how
you,
it
Sean
goes.
and Chris. Yes. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. You're appreciated. You're valued.
Thank
I see
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
So I will reach out
All the
in the
love.
next couple weeks and send some information about what, we'll figure out what date will work for everybody. We could do it on a Monday like this again, maybe. It
Mhm.
seems to work for everybody. I mean, Lily, I'm sorry. You're the only one that has to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I think it's only fair to say rather one be woken up at 2 in the morning than all of us.
Right.
So
Look, it's totally fine. I am a-okay to have, like
so the next show will be
doesn't
on
matter.
sexual energy, sex magic,
Sacred sexuality.
yes, sacred sexuality, all those yummy words that seem to grab the attention of,
Yeah.
and yep. And maybe we could talk about some of the symbolism, like the Oval Office and the what's it called? The
Giant phallus. Yeah.
yes, the phallus. Yes.
Yeah, I just
So,
got some new Egyptian cards, and one of them, he's got a big almighty boner just like looking straight
Yeah.
at you on this card. He's like,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah. So we birth new worlds and new reality, I mean, this is part of, so we can do it in a positive, loving, sacred way, or we can,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
try
Part
to
of my
trap
like
people and trap
Yeah.
energy and stuff. And we don't want
part
that.
of my clearing of the land is birthing new energies through my womb space for it after I've cleared all of the other stuff.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
lovely, Miss Lily. That's lovely. Good.
Mhm.
Okay, so you guys, thank you for a fabulous show. Thank you, Chris,
Thank you.
Sean, Lily. Thank
for
you.
having us.
And I'll reach out to you guys soon. Please make sure you forward your information so I can get it to Katie, because we're gonna upload this like right away.
Okay.
And you guys have been able to record it. Please share it out. And I look forward to the next one.
All right.
Love
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.